Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook, People in Sand Hidden Village. Kill White Fang at the beginning. Chapter 51. It hurts. Tsunade got up from the ground, turned around and rubbed herself quietly. She was lying on the ground just now and was suppressed by Fang. Fortunately, the ground was relatively soft and loose sand, otherwise she might not have been pressed alive back to the airport where she was a girl. Although she lost this fight, Tsunade felt that the negative emotions that had been suppressed in her heart for many years dissipated a lot. Although there was some pain in her body, Tsunade still closed her eyes and smiled towards the sun. On the other side, Fang did not notice Tsunade's unusual behavior, but instead sighed there. As expected, Orochimaru has mastered the core technology, and science as the primary productive force. Boiling Dungia as a steam engine, Baman Dungia as an internal combustion engine, and heavy particle mode as nuclear fusion. Dark game unlocking degree plus 1%. Why did it suddenly increase? Suddenly, a prompt popped up in the system, which brought Fang back to his senses. Fang subconsciously looked towards Tsunade, and happened to see Tsunade smiling towards the sun. Isn't it true that one of the conditions is dual brings smiles? Fang couldn't help but feel a little numb when he learned that this condition was likely to be the case. Under normal circumstances, who would smile sincerely even after being beaten up? It's just Tsunade who has a psychological mentality. Only people with illnesses would be happy with this method, which is almost like fighting fire with fire. But if you think about it, it seems that there are quite a few people with mental illness in the ninja world. What's on your mind? I don't know when. Tsunade has appeared in front of Fang, looking at the distracted boy with a puzzled face. Nothing. Fang shook his head and took out a camera from his body. Do you know this thing? You know, the popular specialty sold in the Kingdom of Wind recently, was it made by you? Tsunade nodded slightly. As long as you know each other, I actually made it during the Second Ninja War, you know. Fang took out a scroll and opened it. There were a few old photos lying quietly inside. Take it. As for the things on it, believe it or not. Tsunade frowned slightly, picked up the photos, and flipped through them. In the first photo, a boy was tied with a rope, with an expression of anger and regret, as if he was saying something. She could clearly distinguish the protagonist in it as her brother Shungshu. In the second photo, Shungshu showed a surprised expression, as if he saw someone. In the third photo, it was farther away, but you could still see that Shungshu was being shot. Team Konoha Anbu Ninja rescued. You should know that your brother is average in strength, but has a special status. Being a prisoner will definitely be more beneficial than dying. I didn't put much effort into catching him, and he was very lucky. Apart from being electrocuted, he was not injured. As for the last few ninjas who took him away, they might also be pretending to be other ninja villages. Fang was on the side helping to explain the situation at that time. You're right, it would be more beneficial for you to capture the rope tree. Tsunade took a deep breath and put the photo in her arms. As for those ninjas, Tsunade didn't say any more. She didn't want Fang, an outsider, to know what happened next. According to Fang's inference, those ninjas may indeed be disguised as other ninja villages. But Tsunade knew that before they parted, she had specifically reminded Naoki not to trust anyone who suddenly appeared on the battlefield unless their identity could be confirmed. Naoki will show a happy expression. It is definitely not simply seeing the Konoha ninja coming, but seeing a familiar ninja. I didn't expect the truth of the matter to be like this. I should have thought of it earlier. Tsunade sighed and looked up at Fang. You won. I can cash in the bet immediately now. If you want to ask anything, ask it quickly. No matter what the question is, I will answer you. Tsunade was a little embarrassed that Fang told her the truth despite losing the bet. But she still didn't think Fang could ask her any questions that she knew but refused to answer. That's fine. You're not going back to Konoha anyway. If you don't want to answer, just stay here. Fang knew that Tsunade would never abandon Konoha no matter what, because it was the village founded by her grandfather. His current goal is to maintain a relationship with Tsunade before she became the 5th Hokage. Anyway, according to the original situation, Tsunade before becoming the 5th Hokage, he would always wander outside. Ask quickly. Tsunade waved her hand and urged. She didn't think Fang could ask any questions that would keep her here. Well, I asked. In fact, I have always been curious, are you really suffering from hemophobia? As a medical ninja, Fang asked seriously. Is that the problem? Yes, as a medical ninja, I suffer from hemophobia. How? Do you regret that you didn't shed some blood on purpose when you fought me just now? Tsunade laughed at herself, with a look of loneliness on her face. No, I haven't finished asking yet. Fang shook his head, took a few steps back, and asked the key question. My question is, since you have hemophobia, how do you deal with those days of the month? After saying that, Fang ran away without waiting for Tsunade to answer. Which days of the month? Wait, what did that kid say? As expected, no man is serious. Tsunade didn't realize what Fang was talking about at first. When she realized that Fang had disappeared, she could only stand there helpless and furious. After returning to the village, Fang first found the scroll that she had been waiting for. Konoha's envoys asked them to go to the hotel to rest. There is no need to communicate with them for the time being. Yes, Wan waited for a long time, and finally received Fang's solution, and immediately nodded in agreement. After the Konoha envoys received the notice from Sunagakur village, they readily accepted it. They themselves were waiting for Sarutobi Hiruzen's reply, only then can we determine how to handle this diplomatic incident. The fourth Raikage, you are really awesome. Looking at Wan leaving with the Konoha envoys, Fang took out an information scroll and tossed it in his hand. What happened to the fourth Raikage? A voice sounded behind Fang. It's nothing, I just have a mission to go out on. Fang was not surprised by the appearance of the voice owner. He turned around and looked at Tsunade. How is it? Do you have the answer to my question? Click. Tsunade clenched her fists and her eyebrows twitched. Prepare a place for me to live, and money. Obviously, Tsunade doesn't have the shamelessness to answer Fang's question. Pity. Fang chuckled, and then said, I just said to let you stay, but I didn't say that I would support you like an ancestor. If you want money, you can earn it yourself. In fact, Fang already knew the answer to the question. Tsunade has hemophobia, how does she spend each month? Why do you think Tsunade brought Shizune with her? What, do you think I earn it myself? Tsunade was originally planning to kill Fang as the wrongdoer to vent her hatred, but she didn't expect that Fang was completely unreasonable. I happen to have a giant blonde maid captured by Union Village at home. Do you want to be the second one? Fang looked at Tsunade's surprised expression and laughed. Don't even think about it. Tsunade immediately refused. Do you want her to be a maid? It's better to answer that question. How about reneging on the debt? This idea suddenly came to Tsunade's mind. Anyway, this is not the first time that she has reneged on the debt. No, Tsunade shook her head and rejected the idea. Even if she refuses, she doesn't refuse at this time. She doesn't want to go back to the land of fire for the time being. She is worried that as soon as she gets close to Konoha, she can't help but ask questions and make a fuss. What should I do? Because of the gambling some time ago, I didn't have much money. Tsunade racked her brains to think of a way, and suddenly her eyes lit up when she saw the mission scroll in Fang's hand. Said, is your mission well paid? Not too bad. What, you want to take over a mission from another village? Fang held the throne scroll and was a little surprised. Ninjas from other villages cannot take over your mission, but you can hire me. Tsunade approached Fang with a smile and pointed at herself. I am the #1 medical ninja in the ninja world. As long as you give me half of the reward, I can accompany you on the mission to ensure your physical and mental health. Do you want to do this mission with me? Fang glanced at Tsunade in surprise, shook his head and smiled. It's not impossible, but if you give up the mission midway, then. If I give up halfway, I will be just like the prisoner of Union Village you call me. After Tsunade finished speaking, she added very alertly, the premise is that the mission is not to assassinate Konoha ninjas. You can rest assured of this. Fang smiled mysteriously and put away the scroll. Since you have decided, then go make arrangements for your little apprentice and come with me. Good. Tsunade nodded in agreement, turned around and found Shizune, who was following the mission. After giving Shizune a few instructions, Tsunade came to the village gate and found Fang who was waiting. At this time, Fang was sitting on the ground, holding a brush. Something strange is written on a scroll. What's this? Tsunade was a little curious as she looked at the words that she understood when separated, but when put together, she didn't understand a word. I'm trying to make a toy and see if I can make some money. Fang put away the scroll and stuffed it into his waist pocket. Since you're here, let's set off. Tsunade nodded, then realized something was wrong, and looked at Fang. It's okay if you don't tell me the specific content of the mission. You have to tell me about the possible enemies and the mission location, right? Tsunade is still a little worried that Fang is deceiving her. If she really confronts the Konoha ninja, she will not be able to explain clearly. Are there possible enemies in the ancient Lulan kingdom within the Kingdom of Wind? Fang pondered for a moment and looked into the distance. He should be a rebel ninja puppet master from Sunagakur village. Lulan, I remember it seemed to be a small country somewhat similar to the Kingdom of Rain. Hearing Fang mention the location of this mission, Tsunade remembered some information she had seen in Konoha before. It's a bit like that. Looking at the city in the distance through the wind and sand, Fang nodded slightly. Like the Kingdom of Rain, Lulan is also a somewhat steampunk-style city composed of high-rise steel buildings. The huge steel on the periphery blocks the harsh environment of the Kingdom of Wind, allowing the residents inside to work and rest normally. Why would a puppet master want a ninja of your level to take action? Wait, we didn't seem to see that old woman Chio when we arrived at Sunagakur village. Could it be her? Tsunade asked with a surprised look on her face. You are overthinking it. Granny Chio just retired to go fishing with her brother. Fang looked at Tsunade speechlessly and replied. Fishing. She really has become an old woman. Tsunade felt a little emotional. Her old rival on the battlefield has just retired. Hey, by the way, if I stay in your Sunagakur village, I won't be targeted by that old guy, right? Tsunade suddenly thought of a key question and looked at Fang and asked seriously. After all, she was a Konoha ninja, and she was a sworn enemy of Granny Chio during World War II. The difference in the relationship between the two was basically second only to white teeth. Come on, Chio's mother-in-law is just a consultant now and doesn't care about anything at all. Do you think you are like your Konoha advisors who kill your own family at every turn? Fang waved his hand and said disdainfully. As long as Rasa, the scumbag king, of Sunagakur village is not online, it will be clean. In the original work, Granny Chio was able not to take action against Kakashi, the son of her murderous enemy, and even acknowledged her archenemy Suna. Her character can be seen from the fact that her apprentice is powerful and sacrifices herself for others to save Gaara. As for the advisors of Konoha village, Danzo Shimura, Kaharu, and Mito Monin, these three are the same as Hiruzen Sarutobi. Called Konoha F4, if these people lived for more than 10 years in the original work, Konoha village would probably be gone. Hearing Fang mocking Konoha's advisor, Tsunade didn't refute, feeling mixed in her heart. Zan's disciple, the Senju clan of Konoha village, she thought she knew better than Fang and had more say, but she didn't say anything, because what Fang said was not wrong compared with Granny Chio, those in Konoha village. The old guy can really be described as, if you don't die when you are old, you are a thief. By the way, why did you ask that question? You don't look like Jiraiya. Walking on the sand, Tsunade broke the silence again and asked a question. Looking at the boy next to her who had well-maintained skin in the Kingdom of Wind, Tsunade was a little puzzled. Because I want to drive a big car. Fang rolled his eyes. He couldn't explain that this was a man's true nature, right? What? Tsunade didn't understand what Fang meant. Ahem, I mean, I know a terrifying forbidden technique. Fang naturally wouldn't be so shameless as to explain that sentence, so he coughed twice and changed the subject. A terrifying forbidden technique. How scary is it? Tsunade smiled. In terms of forbidden arts, who is as powerful as her second grandfather? Her second grandfather, Senju Tobarama, is a man who claims to have all forbidden arts except water release. That forbidden technique came from Tengyun village. Tengyun village, isn't that called the village that forgot the war? They do not participate in ninja wars at all and love peace. Before Fang finished speaking, Tsunade interrupted him in confusion. Don't you understand what it means when things go to extremes? They must be reversed. Every village has one or two extreme characters. Fang glanced at Tsunade and continued, and that technique is called Death Si Ping Shui. The effect is extremely terrifying. One of its characteristics is that it can make the person who uses the technique almost immortal. Not only that, once the blood is collected by that person, the caster can use the blood to draw the evil god array, thereby binding himself to the owner of the blood. While in the array, the owner of the blood will take the same damage as the caster. Imagine you are bound to an immortal person. How do you defeat him? Fang spread his hands and said to Tsunade. This. Tsunade fell into deep thought. Even if she had mastered the art of hundreds of heroes and had the ability to create and regenerate, it would be impossible for her to compete with an immortal body. But, is there really such an invincible technique in this world? Tsunade stared at Fang, expressing serious doubts. Of course there is, and this technique is not invincible. Fang stretched out a finger, shook it and said, if nothing else, just prevent him from getting any blood, beat him to pieces, and let him starve to death. If you encounter someone more powerful, such as the old man Tsuchikage, and his cells are broken down with a single dust escape, what's the use of being immortal? Makes sense. Tsunade touched her chin, feeling that it made sense. Then she frowned and squinted at Fang. But what does what you said have to do with that problem? Can't you see this? Fang looked a little surprised. Death bosses can kill people by collecting blood. You female ninjas have those few days every month. If you don't pay attention to destroy them, they will be collected by that person. Bong! Fang made an explosive gesture, and continued to the stunned Tsunade. At that time, the female ninjas in the entire ninja world will basically be determined by that person. What about the leg shadow, the 5th Mizukage, the 5th Hokage, the 2-tailed Jinchuriki, the 7-tailed Jinchuriki, they all have to be finished. What are you talking about? Tsunade came back to her senses, full of strange expressions. The Mizukage has only reached the 4th generation, and the Hokage is still the old man like Sarutobi Hiruzen. What the hell is the other cage with legs? Don't worry about these details, what I mean is that you powerful female ninjas should protect yourselves outside. Except for Granny Chio's age, if the pervert Si Pingshe picks up that thing, you will be in danger. Fang waved his hand and said casually. Although Hidan's outrageous plan of going to every ninja village to pick up sanitary napkins used by female ninjas is indeed logically feasible, Fang knows that the real situation will not happen at all. Hidan is just a psychopath, not an XP pervert. He who believes in evil gods will definitely not allow himself to taste such filthy things. Is that so? While chatting and hurried on, Tsunade and Fang had arrived at the outskirts of the ancient city of Lulin. The two of them jumped onto the high wall of the ancient city. As soon as they stepped in, two people who looked like telepathic clay dolls emerged from nowhere. The puppet rushed towards the two men with a sword. Bang! Tsunade smashed the puppet into pieces with two random punches. Why does this place look more prosperous than Sand Hidden Village, and why does this puppet seem to attack automatically? The puppet's strength is very weak, but Lulin's weirdness makes Tsunade a little confused. Don't you find that the situation in this place looks familiar? Fang looked down at the scene in the city and suddenly had a guess in his mind. Look familiar. Tsunade looked at a fountain below, suddenly realized, and turned to look at Fang. You mean, the sun disk in Sunagakur village. I remember that water flowed out from under that big disk, and the land changed. This is just my guess, there should be something like a sun disk in this place. Fang knew the existence of Lulin Dragon Vein, and also knew that after the Dragon Vein was sealed, the ancient Lulin country perished without any external or internal troubles. Then there is only one possibility. Dragon Vein is a kind of sun disk. Once things are sealed and closed, Lulin will return to desertification. Naturally, it will not be able to compare with the ordinary small oases in the Kingdom of Wind, and it will be impossible to survive. There is such a thing in a small Lulin. Tsunade was a little surprised. Don't worry, this thing may be naturally formed, but they didn't make it themselves. Fang patted Tsunade on the shoulder and jumped down. Tsunade followed and landed on the ground. Just as she was about to say something, she suddenly frowned, condensed a chakra scalpel in her hand, and jumped up high. After waving a few times, he saw a row of Lulin residents falling to the ground in the distance. The other Lulin residents didn't care at all and were still carrying out their original actions. They are all puppets. Even the battle-hardened Tsunade was frightened by this strange scene. The uncanny valley effect is one of the purest fears of mankind. There seemed to be only one living person. Tsunade looked up at the high platform not far away, where stood a girl with burgundy hair. As soon as Tsunade finished speaking, the girl was suddenly pushed by the person behind her and fell down. The only living person seemed to be gone. Fang joked. "Don't you save people?" Tsunade watched the girl fall, a little anxious, and wanted to step forward, but was stopped by Fang with one hand. Fang's other hand controlled the puppet residents on the ground whose chakra lines had been cut off by Tsunade just now, and jumped up. Rescued the red-haired girl and brought them to them. "Okay, save it." Throwing aside the stunned girl, Fang clapped his hands and disconnected the chakra line. Since Fang completely awakened the Desert Emperor template, he has no longer used puppetry, not to mention these have no strength, and the uncreative garbage puppet simply made his hands dirty. In the crowd, there were two other groups of people. After seeing this, they quickly followed the direction of the puppet. "Ah, who are you?" The red-haired girl screamed and wanted to use a series of slaps on Fang. Before Fang took action, Tsunade stepped forward first, grabbed the red-haired girl's wrist, and looked at her. "Kindly, kid, he saved your life, and this is how you plan to repay him. Tell us, who are you and why are you the only living person here?" Tsunade let go of the red-haired girl's hand and asked seriously. "What, the only living person I am? She's the queen here, Sarah." Four masked figures jumped down from a high place and landed in front of Fang and Tsunade. Namikaze Minato, and people from the Akamichi family. A few of them were wearing masks, but Tsunade immediately recognized two iconic figures inside. Namikaze Minato with blonde hair, Jiraiya's apprentice. And Akamichi Dingza, whose figure was exposed. "Tsunade-sama, I didn't expect to meet you here." Namikaze Minato took off his mask, glanced at Fang, and explained, "We accepted the mission from the third generation to protect Queen Lulin. Their original mission was to establish diplomatic relations with Lulin in order to contain the Kingdom of Wind. However, the presence of Fang and the discovery of anomalies after arriving here caused Namikaze Minato to temporarily change his words and target." Why is Granny Tsunade here?" Another blonde figure arrived belatedly. After arriving, he looked at Tsunade next to Fang in surprise. "Mother-in-law." Tsunade just felt strange. Why did a blonde kid wearing a Konoha forehead protector appear? But when she heard the name, mother-in-law, her face suddenly darkened. Mother-in-law, the same name as that old woman in Chio. Tsunade, although he used the yin seal to maintain his appearance, he was still in his 30s. Fang looked at the Uzumaki Naruto who had passed through time with pity. Age was one of the most taboos for women, especially Tsunade. What's more, he's a person who doesn't hesitate to use ninjutsu to maintain his appearance. If he dares to call Tsunade grandma, he's probably going to die by inserting a straw into the cesspit. At this time, because of the actions of Namikaze Minato and his team, the puppets in the city were attracted. "Guard! Kid, who are you calling mother-in-law?" Tsunade was so angry that she stepped forward and grabbed Uzumaki Naruto by the collar, who had not yet reacted. She concentrated chakra in her hand, spun around, and threw him out. Uzumaki Naruto turned into a spiral flash of light and leaned against his body. He smashed the attacking puppet into pieces forcefully. Is this the forbidden technique newly developed by Tsunade-sama, the human Rasengan? Minato Namikaze on the side saw this scene, swallowed his saliva, and was a little scared. Killing the ninja of his own village should be considered a traitor to the ninja. Fang looked at the unresponsive Uzumaki Naruto lying in the ruins in the distance, and said to Tsunade with a smile. "Hey, you are looking down on the methods of a medical ninja. I control my power very well, so that kid will definitely be fine." Tsunade smiled disdainfully, bent down to pick up a stone, and smashed it over. Ouch! With a cry of pain, Uzumaki Naruto rubbed his head and woke up. "Minato, I remember there is no such a number one person in the village, right? Or is this your lost relative?" Tsunade crossed her arms and looked at the two of them. The keen senses of the medical ninja made her feel that they were somewhat similar. "What, Grandma Tsunade, what do you mean? There is no such person as me in the village. I am the man who will become Hokage in the future." Hearing Tsunade's words, Uzumaki Naruto ran over anxiously, thinking that the village had removed him. There seems to be some familiar feeling. Maybe we have forgotten it. After all, we can't remember every ninja in the village. Namikaze Minato felt that Naruto was a little friendly, so he opened his mouth to help defend himself. Well, this elder brother is right. I don't know him either. You can't punish me like this just because you don't know the ninjas from the same village, right? Naruto poked his finger aggrievedly. These are extraordinary times. Old man Sarutobi is already bold enough to send you here. How could he send such a brat here? Tsunade was unmoved, sneered, and looked at Uzumaki Naruto. From my perspective, he is another ninja village pretending to be a Konoha ninja, preparing to cause disputes in the country of wind. Let the two countries of wind and fire go to war, and reap the benefits. Ah, Uzumaki Naruto was confused. He didn't know why Tsunade suddenly didn't recognize him, and he didn't understand why he had become a spy for other countries inexplicably. In extreme anxiety, Naruto saw Chinfang and burst into tears of excitement. Biao came out and hurriedly rushed to Chinfang. Brother Chinfang, take care of Granny Tsunade. She is going to expel me from Konoha. Naruto seemed to have found a parent, crying and complaining about Tsunade's evil deeds. But Naruto's behavior made Tsunade frown. What do you mean by asking him to take care of me? Tsunade looked at Chinfang. Do you know him? I probably don't know him now. Under Naruto's desperate eyes, Chinfang smiled and shook his head. What, even brother Chinfang doesn't recognize me anymore? Could it be that I'm under an illusion? Naruto fell to his knees with dull eyes. But just because Naruto is slow to react doesn't mean that others are the same. Now, what does, I don't know, mean? Tsunade heard something in Chinfang's words and asked. Naruto, who fell on the ground, also raised his head in confusion and looked at Chinfang. Are you that slow? Chinfang smiled and shook his head. Can't you even sense your village's own Jinchuriki? Jinchuriki? How is it possible? Isn't the Jinchuriki, woo-woo? Akamichi. Choza on the side screamed in shock, and even almost exposed the secret of who the Jinchuriki was. Fortunately, Aburame Shimi next to him blocked his mouth with a bug in time. Jinchuriki. Yes, Kyuubi can help prove my identity. After hearing Chinfang's words, Naruto's eyes lit up and he repeatedly found a way to prove his identity. He opened his clothes and revealed the sealing technique on his body. How could it really be the seal of the Uzumaki clan and this feeling of heart palpitations? Akamichi Choza and Aburame Shiwei on the side were already dumbfounded and had no idea what was going on. Even little Kakashi, who was wearing a mask, had doubts and confusion about Naruto's identity in his eyes. The facts are before your eyes, what else can you do? Naruto had the evidence and immediately smiled proudly. If I guess correctly, you should be from the future. Chinfang spoke slowly, while squinting in a direction to the right. Suddenly he waved his hand, and a ball of gravel rose up from outside the city, turning into countless sand soldiers and falling from the sky, pressing a figure over. Captain Yamato! Naruto shouted in surprise as he saw a familiar person appear. Yamato, Captain! Another unknown Konoha ninja. The Konoha ninjas present were thinking at the same time. Sure enough, it's you again. What do you want to do? Whatever you asked me to do, I already did it last year. Yamato, who was pressed by the sand soldiers, was speechless and choked when he saw Chinfang. Do you know me again? Tsunade looked at Chinfang with some doubts. Could it be that these people were all invited by Chinfang to play the role of Konoha ninjas and sing the double act? He should know you too. Chinfang shrugged. Tsunade-sama, please take care of Senfang-sama, I don't want to go to Sunagakur village to plant trees anymore. When Yamato saw that Tsunade was also present, he immediately burst into tears, exactly like Naruto just now. Planting trees. Is he a coolie from your sand-hidden village? Haha, why do you want to beg me? When Tsunade heard Yamato's words and matched his expression, she couldn't help laughing. But Chinfang knew that Tsunade would not be able to laugh anymore soon. Sorry, this should be the kingdom of wind where you lived more than 10 years ago. I didn't know you at this time. Chinfang touched his chin and looked at Yamato. But since you said you are good at planting trees, then I would rather obey your orders and go ahead. Well, Yamato's dull eyes became more confused. But after all, his reaction was not as slow as Naruto's. After seeing Namikaze Minato not far away, he immediately understood the situation. Go ahead and plant trees or you may not be able to come back. Fang took out a blank mission scroll, wrote 4 words casually, and threw it to Yamato. Yes, Yamato accepted it with tears in his eyes, and with the support of the sand soldiers, he turned and left. Captain Yamato. Naruto looked at Yamato's leaving back and was dumbfounded. Yamato didn't respond to him. He seemed to be immersed in 996's sadness. Wait a moment, Fang suddenly shouted. I don't have to go. Yamato stopped in a hurry, turned around and asked. No, Tsunade just destroyed a house, please help rebuild it. Fang pointed to the ruins destroyed by Naruto. Oh, Yamato's happy expression disappeared instantly, and he made several seals expressionlessly. Would release, the 4-pillar family technique. Trees emerged from the ground to form a 2-story attic. Okay, I'm leaving. Heartbroken again, Yamato left sadly. But compared to Yamato's sadness, other people's mood was more shocked and complicated at this time. It's actually the first-generation masters would escape. Namikaze Minato and the others were extremely shocked. This is Grandpa's would escape. Why does he use would escape? Tsunade rubbed her eyes and looked at the leaving figure in disbelief. Why do you think, if I tell you everything clearly, you won't be able to grow? Fang had a preaching tone and stopped explaining to Tsunade. This kind of thing is only meaningful if she understands it herself. Even if Fang says it, if he doesn't believe it, he will deceive himself into thinking that he is sowing discord. Listen. Seeing Fang's response, Tsunade had a complicated expression. At this moment, she hoped that Fang would give her a happy life instead of letting her investigate and guess on her own. Forget it, don't think about these future things. Tsunade shook her head to get rid of these irritating thoughts and looked at Naruto. So, you are the future Nine-Tails Jinchuriki. Why are you here? Captain Yamato, Sakura and Saoi and I helped chase down a rebellious ninja named Beizu from Sunagakur village. When we chased him to this place, Beizu had broken some seal. I found it as soon as I opened my eyes. Naruto held his chin as he recalled what happened before and recounted it. Sand Hidden Village. As a Konoha ninja, why would you help Sunagakur village pursue the traitorous ninja? Aburame Jawei on the side asked a question. This. Naruto was stunned for a moment when he heard the question from the man in sunglasses, and then he remembered that the people in front of him were from more than 10 years ago. It's like this. In the future, Sunagakur village and Konoha have already formed an alliance. In Orochimaru. That's it. Namikaze Minato suddenly interrupted Naruto and looked at him seriously. You come from the future, and everything you say may cause confusion at this point in time, so try not to mention things in the future. Brother, why do you look a bit like the 4th Hokage on Hokage Rock? Naruto looked at Namikaze Minato who stood up to stop him and looked at him doubtfully. What a joke. Now that the Hokage is the 3rd-generation adult, there is no. Aburame Jawei suddenly stopped mid-sentence. On the other side, Akamichi Tease's eyes lit up, feeling that he had gotten some important information. They all say not to mention the future. Minato Namikaze looked at the expressions of his 2 teammates and covered his face helplessly. For family ninjas like them, standing in the right team can often bring huge benefits. When Naruto said this, wasn't he just forcing them to let themselves become Hokage? Namikaze Minato wants to become Hokage, but he wants to rely on himself more than this ninja from the future. In fact, it doesn't matter. Have you heard of time paradox? Fang took a step forward, and under Namikaze Minato's curious eyes, he said, perhaps every word he says now has become a part of advancing history. And, if you really need to worry, there are solutions. The solution is to kill both the centipedes who have traveled through time and the centipedes in this timeline to form a closed loop. Brother Fang is really awesome. He is worthy of being called the man who knows everything. Naruto looked like he suddenly understood. Do you understand? Namikaze Minato looked at the blonde boy in surprise. He didn't even understand the meaning of Fang's words. This boy actually understood. No, just a sigh. Naruto shook his head. Okay, no need to say more, the task is important. Tsunade interrupted the conversation of several people. Now she just wants to complete the task quickly, get the reward, go to Sunagakur village to soak in a hot spring, and forget all these worries. The mission target is the rebellious puppet master Baizu. I wonder if Miss Sarah knows where he is. Namikaze Minato nodded and looked at Queen Lulin, who was almost forgotten by everyone. No, you outsiders should leave Lulin as soon as possible, we don't have any rebellious Bezu here. Sarah shook her head, full of distrust of several people. You should ask, who is the leader in Lulin now? Fang pointed at the street full of puppets and pointed straightly. Of course I am the leader. Sarah stubbornly raised her mouth and said loudly. Come on, the only difference between you and those puppets is that you can still breathe. Fang replied without giving any face. A king who killed his own mother, enslaved the whole country, and foolishly regarded him as a loyal minister. What is this but a puppet? Even Emperor Xian of the Han dynasty knew that Cao Cao was not a loyal minister, so he said that she's silly Bashan is insulting silly Bashan. Sarah's body was shaking with anger and she was speechless. Okay, Tsunade, you are responsible for taking her, I will find someone. Fang waved his hand and said. Are you coming? Aburame Jiwei, who was about to use the insect secret technique, took back the insect jade he released. Boom, Fang pressed his hand on the ground, and the whole ground shook. The gravel outside Lulin flew up into the sky and penetrated into the city. The sand soldiers formed by quicksand quickly searched the entire city and soon found their target. Just underground, Fang stood up and said to several people. Okay, leave it to me. Be prepared. Tsunade clenched her fists, jumped into the air, and landed with one foot. It hurts my feet. Boom, the ground cracked, and instantly several people fell into the underground cave. Tsunade grabbed the frightened Queen Lulin as quickly as possible, stepped on the gravel and fell to the ground. See it, these are your people, there are just puppets out there. Suna pointed at the puppet maker who was working hard underground, turned to look at Sarah, and said in a deep voice. Why bother? A voice came from far away. It's Lucian. I want to ask him to find out. When the confused Sarah heard that voice, she seemed to grasp a life-saving straw and struggled to run over. But with her ordinary strength, how could she break away from Tsunade's strange strength? And Lucian, this is such a good name change, why not just change it to Zhao Gao? Fang complained casually. On the other side, Bezu was sitting on the elevator and slowly descending. Little Sarah, you should learn from your mother and find out a few years later, so that you can live longer. Mother, was your mother killed by you? Sarah, who was still struggling with Tsunade, was stunned when she heard Bezu's words. Okay, you take her to seal the dragon vein quickly. If I read correctly, this guy has transformed himself into a garbage puppet. As a former puppet master, Fang could see at a glance what Bezu had gone through when he seemed to be put on weight. Now, don't even think about escaping. Bezu jumped down angrily, and all the clothes and skin on his body fell off as the energy washed away, revealing the ugly puppet body inside. At the same time, countless puppet armies poured out from all directions. Just as unqualified people cannot withstand the baptism of the sun disk, the power of dragon veins cannot be controlled by humans. As a puppet master, Bezu discovered that the power of dragon veins could be used by puppets of dead objects, and he came up with an idea. I don't know if Bezu stole Xia's secret volume, but Bezu also transformed himself into a human puppet. Can't you learn the art of puppetry before defecting? Fang looked at the puppets controlled by Bezu and himself, and couldn't help feeling a little disgusted. If these puppets were not bonded by the power of the dragon vein, they would probably be a piece of waste. Even with the increase in the power of the dragon vein, they could barely reach the level of ordinary Chunin in the ninja world, S level. Ninja technique. Partial doubling technique. Secret technique insect jade. Sure enough, 2 Junin from Konoha village have already rushed into the puppet army and started mowing the grass. It may be an overestimation to say that these puppets have Chunin strength. You are. When Bezu heard Fang's words, his somewhat chaotic head that had been transformed by the puppet suddenly went cold, and he remembered Fang. Boom. While Bezu was distracted, Tsunade kicked him to pieces. Seal the dragon vein, otherwise this guy will keep recovering. Looking at the recondensed fragments on the ground, Fang said calmly. After hearing this, Tsunade pulled Sarah up, separated the puppet army with one kick, and rushed out. I'm going to help. Namikaze Minato remembered that he had the sealing technique of the Uzumaki clan, and he followed him instantly. After the two left, Fang looked at Bezu who was recovering quickly on the ground, and whispered to himself, seal the dragon veins first, and then slowly look for methods that have been used. The sealing technique of the Uzumaki clan has already been part of Qinfeng's plan. Rather than letting the dragon vein open here and creating a hidden danger, it is better to seal it first. Namikaze Minato and Tsunade took Lulin Queen Sarah to seal the dragon vein, while Akamichi Dingza and Aburame Shiwei were responsible for cleaning up the miscellaneous fish puppets. The only ones left to deal with the Hyakuzu body are the young Kakashi, Uzumaki Naruto and Chifeng. Qinfeng has no pressure at all about fighting with these two people. Don't be in a daze, we must help Mr. Minato hold this puppet down. The young Kakashi's cold voice came out from under the mask, and he rushed forward first. Although Qinfeng killed Kakashi's father, there is a high probability that he will fight Namikaze Minato in the future, but as long as he doesn't behave like a centipede, they are the same, these two people will automatically put down their hatred. I have to say that Konoha's will of fire is still good. Shinfuda hopes that the fourth-generation Raikage of Kumogakure village can learn from these two if they are opponents. If we can all take the initiative to let go of our hatred, the world will be so beautiful. Laughing. I didn't expect that today. In addition to killing the uncrowned king of the Kingdom of Wind, I would also be able to see the copy ninja from the past. It seems that God has favored me, Beizu. Beizu's arrogant voice came from the puppet, and the fear he felt when seeing Qinfeng at first disappeared. With the power of dragon veins, I am immortal, and all the 5 great kingdoms will surrender under my feet. The world is waiting for Lord and Lucian to come. Hibazu shouted, and all the puppet fragments crushed by Akamichi Dingza and Aburame Shiwei in the distance were attracted, forming a huge puppet around his body. He also rules the world. Have you asked Otsutsuki Agarwood and Konoha Dance King for their consent? Qinfeng looked at Beizu, who lost his mind after gaining some strength, and was unable to complain. Uchiha Madara and Black Zetsu will never allow the emergence of a unified ninja world, which will greatly increase the difficulty of collecting tailed beasts in the future. On the contrary, what they expect is for the major ninja villages to doubt each other, start wars, and even consume themselves. This may be one of the reasons why Namikaze Minato must die, and who calls Hiruzen Sarutobi a ghost. 2 qualified. On the other side, the boy Kakashi, who was holding a Chidori and was about to attack, was forced to stop. The enemy's huge body rose from the ground and there was no way to attack. Let me help you. When Akamichi Dingzao saw this scene in the distance, he rushed over with a doubling technique and waved his fist at the giant puppet Beizu. You fat, unknown person, get away. Hibazu controlled the power of dragon veins and shot a laser from his mouth. After repelling Akamichi Dingzao, countless puppet fragments covered his body. My chakra is being absorbed. As soon as the covered Akamichi Dingzao wanted to struggle, he felt a sense of powerlessness, and his doubled body quickly shrank. What to do? A drop of sweat appeared on the young Kakashi's forehead, and he looked at Qinfeng and the unknown blonde kid behind him. Since you can absorb chakra, use taijutsu to defeat him. Naruto, who had just separated a clone and was about to use the Rasengan, dispersed the condensed chakra, formed a seal again, separated countless shadow clones, and rushed forward. No matter how many ants there are, they are still ants. The giant centipede puppet waved its arms, and instantly countless shadow clones turned into smoke and disappeared. Although the shadow clones are entities and have combat capabilities, they are no different from ordinary clones at this moment. Now, who is the number 1 puppet master? Ha 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 ha. Mobizu knocked Naruto's body away with a slap, stepped forward and trampled several of Qinfeng's sand soldiers under his feet, and laughed. Brother Qinfeng, this guy is mocking you like this, why don't you teach him a lesson? Naruto turned around and shouted to Qinfeng, who didn't say a word. Whatever reaction I want, I am no longer a puppet master. Qinfeng took a step forward, golden light flashed all over his body, and he entered the ascension mode. Oh, coming soon. Naruto's eyes lit up when he saw this scene, and he shouted, as if he had seen it before. Beizu felt something moving under his feet and looked down. Woohoo! A violent roar came from the gravel, Beizu was instantly thrown away, and his whole body hit the underground wall. Before he could react, the figure who knocked him away rushed forward. Renekton, crush him. Qinfeng gave the order, and the huge crocodile-headed giant held a butcher's knife. With a collision, Baidu was knocked into the wall and began to bite and slash wildly. No, stop. Baidu used to be just an ordinary ninja, and now his arrogance is only based on the special ability of the dragon vein. He has never seen such a crazy beast. He felt that his body was being torn apart, and the dragon vein could not even recover. He panicked instantly. By the way, absorb. Absorb its chakra for me. In panic, Baidu found the last straw and covered Renekton with the torn pieces of the puppet. However, sorry, he used anger. In the end, Baidu only heard Qinfeng's faint words, and he felt that his whole body was completely torn to pieces. What's even more terrifying is that due to the power of the dragon vein, he who was transformed into a puppet could not die. Baidu could only feel that his body was like a piece of the meat on the chopping board was chopped continuously. On the other side, Namikaze Minato and Tsunade stood on both sides of the high platform, guarding Queen Sarah below for sealing. I don't know what the connection is between this little girl's bloodline and the dragon's veins, but she can only use her as a medium to perform the sealing technique. Tsunade looked at the red-haired girl below, touched her chin and muttered to herself. Namikaze Minato was a little absent-minded at the moment, seeming to be thinking about the blonde boy who just appeared. Tsunade discovered something unusual about this old friend's disciple. Glanced at the distance, they should have already solved it, just waiting for our seal to be completed. Remember, don't mention that you met me when you return to Konoha. I understand, Tsunade-sama. Namikaze Minato came back to his senses and hurriedly replied. Seeing Namikaze Minato agree, Tsunade nodded with satisfaction, then glanced into the distance and said, that yellow-haired little kid should be your future son, right? Tsunade-sama, it's better not to mention too much about the future. Namikaze Minato was stunned when he heard this, and immediately shook his head and said. As for Naruto's identity and relationship with Namikaze Minato, in fact, except for the slow Naruto, everyone had already guessed in their hearts, but they didn't say anything. Just like Namikaze Minato, Fang Shuiman warned before that things from the future could easily have a bad impact, but he didn't expect Tsunade to speak out and say it directly. Tisk, what's the use of being wary of these details? Tsunade smiled disdainfully and pointed into the distance. Do you believe it or not, that person will never care about the future impact. Although they have not known each other for a long time, Tsunade feels that she has fully understood Qinfeng as a person. If the future ninja who can escape from wood can plant trees, will Qinfeng care about other small things? This, Namikaze Minato was reminded by Tsunade and found that this seemed to be the case. The key is that he originally wanted to seal everyone's memory after sealing the dragon vein, so that it would be foolproof. But Qinfeng was not from Konoha, and he would certainly not be allowed to seal memories without authorization, not to mention that the departing wooden ninja had left traces behind. Boom. At this moment, the entire underground fortress trembled. This is the sound of the dragon vein being sealed and the fortress losing its energy supply. Sarah, who was responsible for sealing the dragon veins below, fainted at some point. It's just excessive consumption. Tsunade jumped down to check Sarah's condition and said. That's good, it should be over for Kakashi and the others. Namikaze Minato looked into the distance. The power of the dragon vein was sealed, so the traitorous ninja of Sunagakure village should also be terminated. As Namikaze Minato finished his words, several figures appeared nearby. Teacher Minato, Baidu is dead, and all the puppets outside have become useless. Kakashi reported the situation in a muffled voice. Actually, it's not over yet. Qinfeng, who was floating in the air on gravel, looked up at the hollow building above the dragon vein seal. Huh, it's not over yet, but hasn't Centipede been torn apart by that big crocodile? Naruto scratched his head in confusion and made gestures with his hands. Wait a moment and let the bullets fly for a while. Qinfeng did not answer their doubts and continued to look above. His actions made others very confused. They also raised their heads, but saw nothing. Boom. After a few seconds, a golden light penetrated the ground. Diagonally after penetrating into the underground fortress, the bodies of Yamato far away in Sunagakure village and Naruto here gradually became insubstantial. What have you done? Seeing this, Minato Namikaze took a step forward and asked in confusion. The scene before him should be that people from the future are about to return to their original time, but Minato Namikaze felt that something was wrong. If this is true, Then it should be, and it will start after they seal the dragon vein, not now. I killed Centipede. Fang held his neck and twisted it. We all know this. Tsunade jumped up and jumped to the landing point of the sun disk attack. Looking at a charred corpse on the ground, she turned to Fang. Who is this person? Centipede. Fang shrugged. How could it be Beizu? Shouldn't he be there? Suna pointed at the direction where Fang and the others were fighting just now. Before he finished speaking, he frowned and realized, you mean, is this Beizu from the future? After Fang's actions, they discovered a key point. Centipede is not young, which means that there is also a centipede at their time, maybe even a centipede who has not yet become a rebel ninja. And now, Fang used the lock of the sun disk to directly eliminate the centipedes of this time. So what does the future centipede who fought with them before and enslaved the people of Lulin count? Faced with this situation, people with higher IQs are more confused. Because this is a complete paradox. Naruto and Yamato disappeared. But everyone who stayed behind knew that they had not returned to the future, but had truly disappeared. Because the future has still changed. However, the traces of the surrounding battles and the trees planted by Yamato outside have not disappeared. Don't worry, just think of it as a large-scale illusion cast by Dragon Vein on you. Fang looked at the postures of several people and smiled lightly. Thinking that going back in time can change arbitrary history is just the view of ignorant people without any common sense. The so-called grandfather paradox, going back in time to kill your grandfather, only to one kind of result is that you find out that you are your father or not your biological child, and the world will be repaired automatically no matter what. The other is that when you make an action to change history, a new timeline branch will be created, as a parallel universe. A large-scale illusion cast by Dragon Vein. Kakashi couldn't help but speak after hearing this, pointing to the shattered walls and puppet remains in the distance, and questioned Fang, if it was an illusion, why didn't those things disappear? Could illusions still affect reality? Little common sense in the ninja world. Genjutsu is a mental attack, and it is also like seeing a ball of fire. If the fire burns actual trees, it is a ninjutsu, not a genjutsu. Tsunade was obviously not convinced by Fang's genjutsu theory. After finishing speaking, she raised her chin and waited for his response. In response, Fang also calmly gave Tsunade some science knowledge. Second, common sense of the ninja world. Common sense is meant to be broken. Can't illusions affect reality? Not to mention the outrageous pupil techniques of the Sharingan Rinnegan. Apart from these, Konoha itself has a family that breaks this iron law. You are all Konoha ninjas, haven't you heard of the Kurama clan in your village? Fang glanced at everyone and asked calmly. Except for him, all the people present were Konoha ninjas, and they were all Jonin and stronger beings. Fang was not worried at all. On the contrary, Akamichi Dingza and Aburame Jiwei and the others had heard about Fang's deeds, so they kept a distance and were alert after arriving. At this time, they heard Fang mentioning their companions in the village and subconsciously recalled it. Pommel horse. Do we have this family in Konoha? There seems to be some, but there are so many such small families that I don't remember them. Aburame Shiwei and Akamichi Choza looked at each other and turned to Namikaze Minato. Some. As a top student, Namikaze Minato gave the affirmation and explained to several people, I have seen records in the files that the Kurama clan has a blood inheritance limit that can transform illusions into reality. That's right. Tsunade on the side nodded slightly. She also knew the existence of this clan, but... So smart, Kakashi exclaimed, wearing a mask, but he couldn't hide the shock in his eyes. Wait, Minato-sensei, isn't this a village secret? Otherwise, why don't we know? Kakashi reacted and glanced at Fang warily. Not really. Namikaze Minato shook his head. Kakashi thought that the Kurama clan was unknown because it was Konoha's secret weapon. In fact, it was just the opposite. The Kurama clan has a relatively poor physique, but is good at illusions. According to records, it can compete with the Uchiha clan. However, it has been a long time since anyone has awakened the blood inheritance limit, and now it is completely in decline. According to Namikaze Minato, the once prosperous Kurama clan may now only have 1 or 2 families, and they all live in remote areas of the village. So that's it. After listening to Namikaze Minato's explanation, Akamichi Choza and Aburame Shiwei instantly understood. Their families, as well as most families in Konoha, rely on secret techniques and don't have to worry about inheritance issues. But there are limits to blood inheritance. The situation is different for families, especially those who have difficulty awakening. It is easy for their inheritance to be interrupted and lead to decline. After they learned about it, they once again refreshed their understanding of Fang. How come outsiders understand so well? In fact, what I want to tell you is that although those just were illusions, it does not mean they are false. Fang glanced meaningfully at Namikaze Minato and said, "There is no parallel universe in the ninja world, so after changing history, the world's chosen repair method is the first one. That is, after killing his grandfather, he found that he was not his biological son. But in fact, if the grandfather is not killed, the world will not repair history. It is considered a classic, Schrödinger's grandfather. Therefore, the previous Naruto and Yamato can indeed be regarded as people from the future. Don't you wonder why that yellow-haired boy doesn't recognize you?" Quote. With Namikaze Minato's IQ, he had naturally seen the connection between Naruto and him, but he restrained himself from thinking deeply. "Yes, why doesn't he recognize you?" Tsunade also reacted at this moment. She tilted her head and crossed her hands in front of her body, thinking for a moment, "Even if you're gone, Minato boy, it's not like I don't even know what you look like, right? This thing is not expensive, convenient and practical, and should have been popularized in many years." Fang took out a camera and added, "Let's not discuss this anymore." Namikaze Minato covered his forehead helplessly. He would rather seal the memory now, so that he wouldn't be able to help guessing and thinking. "Okay, just think of it as an illusion." Tsunade glanced at Fang and made a conclusion. As a medical ninja, Tsunade saw that Naruto was suffering from malnutrition. She didn't think much about it at first, but now she felt that the problem was getting bigger and bigger. So who will take this person away? Kakashi saw that the encrypted call between several people finally ended, and pointed at Queen Sarah and asked. As soon as these words came out, the atmosphere suddenly became a little awkward. "Why don't you speak? If I guess correctly, the purpose of your coming here is her, right?" Fang chuckled, breaking the calm. "Want to use Lulin to contain Cheyenne village. Now that there is no dragon vein, Lulin is about to disappear in the desert. This Sarah should have no effect on you, right? We in Konoha have no intention of interfering, and Sand Hidden Village can accept the residents of Lulin and Queen Sarah at will." Namikaze Minato couldn't face Fang's question, because what Fang said was an obvious fact, so he could only choose to correct his attitude. "Not bad, what else? For the people of Lulin and Sarah, Fang will never refuse. As the oasis created by the sun disk gradually expands, the Kingdom of Wind gradually begins to lack people, not resources. Besides, well, when I go back, I can try to discuss an alliance with Hokage-sama and try my best to promote friendship between the two countries." Namikaze Minato pondered for a moment and made a promise. This time the alliance promise is different from the previous, expediency, of Sarutobi Shinosuke. Namikaze Minato really has intentions. Now that the war in the Kingdom of Wind has subsided, it has begun to develop gradually. Alliance will only produce win-win results. This is the conclusion analyzed by Namikaze Minato from the perspective of Hokage. Unfortunately, he still only saw half of it. The war in the Kingdom of Wind has subsided, but the Kingdom of Fire is about to fall into a multifaceted siege. At that time, the alliance was no longer equal, and Fang was waiting for that moment. "Then go back quickly, I'm waiting for your new messenger." Fang yawned, waved his hand, walked towards the stairs, and motioned for Tsunade to follow. Tsunade casually carried Sarah, Queen of Lulin, on her shoulders, shook her head at the Konoha ninja, and then followed. New messenger. The people in Konoha felt a little strange. Could it be that Lord Hokage had already sent an envoy when they were on their mission? With doubts, they returned to Konoha. As soon as they entered the harmonious and stable Konoha village, they took a deep breath, as if trying to purify the scorching desert air in his lungs. Why does it smell like blood?" Namikaze Minato sniffed and suddenly opened his eyes. A ninja covered in blood appeared at the gate of Konoha. Intelligence. Boom. Before he could finish speaking, the ninja fell to the ground. 5 minutes later, in the Hokage building, Hiruzen Sarutobi was holding a pipe with a heavy expression on his face. Opposite him stood many elite jonin in the village and representatives of various families. Because Kakashi was about to be promoted to jonin, he also followed the team and stood behind Namikaze Minato. Call. Hiruzen Sarutobi exhaled a cloud of smoke, put down his pipe, and picked up one of the 3 scrolls on the table that was stained with blood. In less than 3 days, Kurigakure village also declared war on us. There was no concealment. Sarutobi Hiruzen directly stated the contents of the scroll. Also, after hearing this, all the jonins subconsciously looked at the other 2 scrolls. Yes, there is also the Kingdom of Thunder and the Kingdom of Earth. After the new Raikage of Cloud Hidden Village took office, he immediately led the troops stationed in the village to attack the Land of Fire. The 2 scrolls on the table are the information sent in sequence in the past 2 days. Sarutobi Hiruzen has sent an Anbu team to delay. He is afraid that new forces will join and he does not dare to allocate combat power in advance. Now it turns out that he guessed it right. What? Shouldn't the new Raikage take revenge on Sunagakure village? Hearing the news, a jonin of the Uchiha clan expressed doubts. The other ninjas also looked at Sarutobi Hiruzen in confusion. It was obviously the ninjas of Sunagakure village who killed the 3rd Raikage, so why did they turn to them? Konoha declares war. Because the 4th Raikage is not stupid. A voice came from outside the door. You mean to say I'm stupid? The Uchiha ninja looked at Danzo who walked in unhappily. Danzo did not respond to this, and walked directly to Sarutobi Hiruzen, picking up the information scroll of the Kingdom of Thunder. After the 4th Raikage succeeds, waging war can divert conflicts within the village to the greatest extent. At the same time, our country of fire is the richest region. In addition, before his death, the 3rd Raikage had left his last words asking them to stay away from the desert. After Danzo's analysis, most people understood the reason why Union Village declared war on them. You mean that, cannot be defeated in the desert, last words. That's because that person hasn't met our Uchiha clan. The ninjas of Uchiha seemed to be unable to compete with Danzo, and he was dismissive of this. In his opinion, Fang is at best like the water escape ninjas of Kurigakure village, with advantages in the terrain and environment. As long as their clan as soon as the Sharingan comes out, the opponent will be captured in minutes. It's really stupid. Even if Danzo is not prepared to attract the Uchiha clan's attention now, he can't help but curse at this moment. What did you say? Quiet. Sarutobi Hiruzen suddenly slapped the table, and Shinobu looked at the ninjas of the Uchiha clan with sharp eyes. Konoha is now besieged by the 3 major powers, and the 3rd ninja war has begun. Do you want the Kingdom of Wind to join in? Don't forget, your clan leader is still over there right now. Don't dare. The other ninjas of the Uchiha clan hurriedly stood up and denied it. No matter how good they felt about themselves, they did not think that Konoha could withstand the 4 great ninja villages and still maintain an advantage in the attack. By then, I am afraid that all of their clan will have to go to the front line. Many clan members died. What's more, after Sarutobi Hiruzen reminded them, they remembered that Uchiha Fugaku was still serving as the envoy of Sunagakure village. If there was a war with Sunagakure village, they might not be killed. We had promised to form an alliance with Sunagakure village before, but now it seems that we really need this ally. Sarutobi Hiruzen's sharp gaze gradually disappeared. He sat back and sighed slightly. Konoha is extremely prosperous now, but it cannot withstand multi-front battles, and it is even more unacceptable for Sunagakure village with Fang to join the battle. Ally with Sand Hidden Village. The idea is good, but the reality is cruel. Sarutobi Hiruzen made careful calculations and found out that White Fang killed the son and daughter-in-law of Chiyo's mother-in-law, a senior official in Sunagakure village, causing her grandson to run away from home. Not long ago, he also raided the granary again. Then, his son Shinosuke deceived Sunagakure village by pretending to form an alliance and compensate for the war damage, and escaped back. A few days after returning, his son Shinosuke died mysteriously. Uchiha Fugaku was sent to Sunagakure village to question him, and he is still there now. Just now, Namikaze Minato returned from completing his mission and told him that he encountered Fang during the mission. This means that another handle is in the hands of Sunagakure village. Normally, Konoha wouldn't care about these things at all, and he would be offended if he offended them. But it happened that at this time, the 3 major countries went to war at the same time. Sarutobi Hiruzen had a hunch that they might be bleeding heavily this time. What is even more frightening is that if Konoha does not choose hemorrhage and does not form an alliance with Sunagakur village, it will suffer even more serious trauma. That's it, we have to choose to compromise. Sarutobi Hiruzen expressed his thoughts. After stating the pros and cons, he scanned the crowd and finally focused on one person. Orochimaru, this mission is entrusted to you. I hope you won't disappoint me. This time the envoy to Sunagakur village no longer has the same requirements as Uchiha Fugaku before. The war has begun, and the envoy must complete the mission as quickly as possible and at the lowest cost. Therefore, the envoy must have the ability to certain decision-making power. As a being who has made great achievements in World War II, and as a disciple of Hokage, Orochimaru can take on this responsibility. The most important thing is that this time the envoy must bear a blame, which can just weaken Orochimaru. Prestige to avoid situations beyond your control in future campaigns for the 4th Hokage. Got it, teacher. Orochimaru responded expressionlessly and turned to leave. This mission was an urgent mission, so there was no need for any envoy group. After leaving the Hokage building, Orochimaru did not leave immediately, but found a little girl. This is. Hongdu looked curiously at a wooden jar the teacher handed to her. I am going on a mission to Sunagakur village. This is a tool for communicating with the village. Please keep it safe. Orochimaru looked at the distance and felt that there would be a lot of trouble in this operation. After experiencing the Second Ninja War, Orochimaru was already very familiar with all kinds of ugly transactions. In addition to the ones Sarutobi Hiruzen mentioned just now, in addition to handle, the most critical point is that the leader of the Uchiha clan is in Sunagakur village at the moment. If Sunagakur village does not choose to form an alliance but joins the war, Uchiha Fugaku will inevitably be imprisoned. By then, the village will be uneasy. The divided Uchiha clan is inevitably in turmoil. Amid external and internal troubles, Konoha is in danger. Goodbye, teacher. Bye now. Looking at the little Anko who was waving to him, Orochimaru walked out of the gate of Konoha. Did Mr. Sarutobi really not see the situation of Uchiha Fugaku? Of course it's impossible. It's just that he doesn't dare to say it now, otherwise Uchiha the clan could not go to the battlefield with peace of mind. Orochimaru thought in his mind, and his figure gradually disappeared. After Orochimaru left, in the Hokage building, Sarutobi Hiruzen unexpectedly began to assign combat tasks. Uchiha Shisui, Hinata Hazashi, Hyuga Heiji, Hinata, head to the southeast front to stop the Kurigakure village ninjas. Hinata Hazashi, Uchiha Ichiro, Uchiha Un, went to the northwest front to prepare for the attack on Iwagakure village. The ninjas of the Land of Water are good at water escape, and the Kurigakure technique is indispensable for everyone. The Byakugan of the Hyuga clan is naturally restrained. Although the Iwagakure village of the Earth Country also declared war on Konoha, there was no large force invasion. Sarutobi Hiruzen didn't know if Tsuchikage Onoki was sitting on the mountain watching the tiger fight, so he had to guard against it, but even so, Sarutobi Hiruzen still showed the art of balance for the Uchiha clan. Most of them are the leaders of the Water Kingdom front of the Hyuga clan. Let the people of the Hyuga clan be the leaders of the Earth Kingdom front. Most of them are the Uchiha clan. Finally, the Kingdom of Thunder. Sarutobi Hiruzen took a deep breath. He had to admit that even if the third-generation Raikage died in the Kingdom of Wind, Kumoin village was still the most difficult and powerful enemy. At the same time, the front line of the Kingdom of Thunder will definitely be the main battlefield now. Minato, you will lead the battlefield in the Land of Thunder, you must intercept the opponent. Yes, the combat troops have been distributed. Except for a small number of ninjas who stayed behind, the rest were assigned missions and combat teams. 90% of the Junin were sent out, leaving only some Anbu ninjas and Danzo roots. Almost all Chunin also went to the battlefield. Even Genin, as long as they have some combat experience, are assigned tasks. It can be said that except for those novice ninjas who have recently graduated from the ninja school, the Konoha machine is starting to operate at full capacity. In the sand-hidden village of the Kingdom of Wind, this once barren land has now become a paradise-like existence, completely untouched by war. This is the same deterrent power as Senju Hashirama back then. Grandma Chio, who was fishing by the creek under the sun disk, couldn't help but sigh when she learned about the situation outside. What do you mean? No wandering around. Otherwise, you're welcome. There was a loud conflict in the distance, which made Granny Chio come back to her senses and look over. That's Konoha's Uchiha messenger. Seeing the conflict between the ninjas in the village and the Uchiha clan, Granny Chio subconsciously wanted to go over and deal with it, but just as she was about to stand up, she moved a bit and sat back down. Forget it, I have retired, so I don't care about this anymore. What happened? Fang, who was passing by, casually mentioned that he had collected the bounty from the mission he had just completed, and walked up to ask. Tsunade took the share of the reward given to her by Qinfang and went to find a place to live with Shizune. Master Qinfang. Luo Sha looked at Qinfang with a complicated expression. After sorting out his emotions, he pulled him aside. At this moment, he had already settled into his position and no longer thought about it. After all, Yi Kang has Qinfang as the backstage, and the position of Feng Ying stable is a mountain. The Jinchuriki is in very poor health and may be dying soon. Rasha glanced at the Uchiha clan who was stopped by him in the distance, and explained, "It is said that the Sharingan of the Uchiha clan can control tailed beasts, we must be vigilant." Since the rise of Qinfang, Rasa's status has actually improved a lot. Although he did not become the Cage like in the original work, he has also gone from an ordinary Junin to a tailed beast manager who controls the strategic weapon button. As the blessing and longevity approaching. After hearing the news, Qinfang was not surprised. He glanced at the prison building where Fenfuku was located in the distance and felt a little emotional. In fact, the biggest killing weapon in Sunagakur village is Fenfuku, the perfect Jinchuriki, but it is a pity that there is not one bull discovered that this 1,000-mile horse could only die in a stable. Qinfang knew it, but it was too late until he had the right to speak. Mito Uzumaki of the clan has passed away after inheriting the 9 tails. As an ordinary monk who is imprisoned in a cage and never sees the light of day, it is natural that he cannot survive. In fact, you are overly worried. The Uchiha clan does not have the courage. After Qinfang came back to his senses, he smiled faintly at Rasha and looked at Uchiha Fugaku who appeared in the distance. Mangekyu. Sharingan controls the tailed beast. Maybe someone can do it, but he doesn't have the courage. Today he can control a tailed beast. Oshukaku, if the news spreads tomorrow, Konoha won't be afraid that someone will control the Kyuubi after returning. More importantly, Qinfang doesn't know when Uchiha Fugaku's Mangekyo Sharingan awakened. He awakened during the Third Ninja War, so he is not qualified yet. I feel like it's better to be careful and not let them move freely in the village. Luo Sha hesitated for a moment and said, "No, I'm not stopping you from continuing to restrict them." Qinfang shook his head and smiled lightly. He took out a scroll that had just been delivered to Feng Ying's office and threw it to Luo Sha. "You have been guarding Shukaku. It seems you don't understand what is happening outside now. 3 great ninja villages besieging Konoha. Very good." Luosha opened the scroll and took a look, and instantly cried out in surprise. Then, when he found that the Uchiha clan was looking at him, Luosha hurriedly calmed down his emotions and lowered his voice. "When will our sand-hidden village join the battlefield? This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to attack Konoha." What to add? Qinfang looked at the excited Luo Sha with disdain and waved his hand. What good can the icing on the cake do? Sending something in the snow. Well, only by taking advantage of the situation can we get the best. You mean? Luo Sha regained her composure and asked. Konoha's second envoy should be arriving soon. The Uchiha clan leader is just a bargaining chip in our negotiations. Send someone to keep an eye on them. After Qinfang finished speaking, he walked away. Please wait a moment. What does this mean in your village? Uchiha Fugaku, who arrived, stopped Qinfang, pointed at the intercepted tribesmen, and asked. Konoha is now besieged by 3 major ninja villages. In order to protect you from misunderstandings caused by assassinations by ninjas from other ninja villages, we will protect you. Qinfang replied calmly. What? How so? Uchiha Fugaku was stunned when he heard the news. But the next second, he began to doubt whether Qinfang was lying to him. Qinfang naturally saw what Uchiha Fugaku was thinking. Don't doubt it, you will not be able to do it right away. The second envoy from Yi village should be arriving soon, and you can confirm by yourself then. Uchiha Fugaku stared at Qinfang's eyes for a while, and finally calmed down. Okay, I will restrain the clan members. I hope what you said is true. After that, he turned and left. Since the clan leader intervened, and the clansmen brought by Uchiha Fugaku this time had a better character among the clan, the matter soon passed. You can't imagine how tolerant a man who has a kaleidoscope turned on but doesn't use it can endure. Qinfang looked at Uchiha Fugaku's leaving back, shook his head and smiled. It was precisely because he knew Uchiha Fugaku's bottom line that Qinfang could achieve the best results. He turned on the Mangekyo Sharingan, but never used it, and the difference between his future son Sasuke turning on the kaleidoscope and being blind for a month was simply a huge difference. Qinfang even doubted that he could tolerate playing tricks with Uchiha Fugaku as long as he had enough reasons and conditions. Chapter 64. After watching the Uchiha clan envoys being placed under house arrest, Qinfang found an open area and started practicing. After encountering Namikaze Minato from Lulan, Qinfang suddenly discovered a problem. There is no way to learn other ninjutsu, but the Rasengan move has detailed training methods in the original work. Because he is in a barren land like Sunagakur village, Qinfang currently has very few ordinary ninjutsu methods. If Qinfang had already mastered the wind-release Rasengan Shuriken when he met White Fang, then there would be no need to go through all the trouble of controlling all the puppets to use the wind-killing formation. The difficulty of training the Rasengan is level A, but this difficulty varies from person to person. Qinfang clearly remembers the training process of the Rasengan, and coupled with his own talent, he believes that it will not take long to complete the ordinary version of the Rasengan. It took Namikaze Minato 3 years to develop the Rasengan with reference to the tailed beast Tama, but this was development, not learning. After Jiraiya had a complete training method, he learned it in just 1 day. Naruto only took half a month despite the interference of Nine Tails chakra. As an adult, Kakashi is even more outrageous. With the blessing of the Sharingan, he can copy the incomplete Rasengan in an instant. Jiraiya and Naruto are talented, and Kakashi is a genius. So how long will it take me? Qinfang took a small leather ball bought from the village and tried to inject chakra into it. Due to the limitations of the times, there are no balloons that are easy to burst, so we can only use rubber balls. An hour later, Qinfang sat on the ground, drinking salt water from a water bottle to replenish water and prepare to take a rest. The only good thing about the desert is that no matter how much fighting there is, it won't take long for all traces to disappear. It seems that Uchiha people have bad tempers. Qinfang slowly put down the kettle and looked in one direction. Wasn't he just under house arrest for a few days? He couldn't bear it anymore so quickly. Earth escape. The art of beheading in the heart. Bang! A hand suddenly emerged from the sand and grabbed Qinfang's ankle. If you don't listen to the old man's words, you will suffer the consequences. Why can't you remember the words of the third Raikage? Qinfang shook his head and sighed, causing the Uchiha under his feet to feel palpitations. Before the Uchiha could react, he felt that the originally loose sand around him suddenly became extremely solid, followed by a stinging pain, and his consciousness disappeared. A pool of faint blood spilled out on the sand. A sand soldier gathered from the ground and stretched out his right hand, with 2 eyeballs lying in it. Oh, it turned out to be a 3 Magatama one, which seemed to be good luck. Qinfang was slightly surprised. No wonder he dared to assassinate him directly. It turned out to be an Uchiha genius, with 3 Magatama. This genius died so quickly that Qinfang didn't even know whether he was a boy or a girl or how old he was. Qinfang casually threw 2 3 Magatama Sharingan into the half-drunk salt water bottle, took out an empty seal scroll and put it in. Qinfang had no obsession with Sharingan, let alone doing it. What happened to eye transplants or something like that? Even if he had the physique of the Otsutsuki clan after Wedge was thawed, he would not have the same discomfort and sequelae as Kakashi. It's better to use your own body organs. Otherwise, what if the Sharingan Dio is transplanted this time and a Sharingan Dio comes out in the future? Besides, the simple Sharingan doesn't have much strength, so the 3 Magatama were easily crushed to death by him. However, the Sharingan can be used as a resurrection coin. After putting away the scroll, Qinfang touched his chin and suddenly had a new idea. Izanagi, the pupil technique that can reverse life and death, at the cost of permanent loss of light. Konoha Dance King Uchiha Madara relied on this technique. He successfully deceived Senju Hashirama and lived to this day. Of course, Fang did not intend to use it for himself, and there was no need for him to seek death or fake death. Well, it turns out there are still people out there. It seems like there is a big giveaway of resurrection coins today. Fang was about to leave when he suddenly sensed something and looked in one direction. He was far away from Sand Hidden Village and Sun Disk. The fact that these people can appear here means that they have never gone back at all, but followed them all the way. Come over. Otherwise, they will be judged as enemies by the Sun Disk at the moment they have the intention to kill, and they will be targeted and attacked. Run away. The two ninjas of the Uchiha clan looked at each other behind the rock, and then ran away in the distance. They came with their companions to hold Fang hostage and let Sunagakur village let them go, but they didn't expect that. The strong companions had no ability to resist at all after taking action, and were instantly killed. The opponent's strength exceeded their imagination. Just give it a try, the one just now died too quickly. Fang did not chase the two, but directly started to form seals. Upon discovering Fang's actions, the two Uchiha immediately stopped, opened their Sharingan, and copied Fang's movements simultaneously. The field was at a deadlock. Fang was forming seals, and the two Uchiha were copying. But soon, the two Uchiha discovered something was wrong. Why are there so many seals? Could it be some terrifyingly powerful ninjutsu? One of the Uchiha asked his companions in a panic. Obviously, he doesn't know the seal of the water dragon bullet, otherwise he would never say this. I don't know, I just know that we can't stop, even if our chakra can't support this jutsu. The other Uchiha shook his head. They have missed the best time to escape, and now they can only go one way to the end. What kind of ninjutsu is it that requires so many seals? Idiot, I was just making seals for fun, are you really copying them? Fang looked at the two people in the distance. The seals in his hands suddenly stopped, and a blue chakra ball was condensed in one hand. The chakra ball gradually shrank in Fang's hands, and finally dissipated completely. But Fang didn't seem to notice. Generally, Shu held it and threw it in the direction of the two of them. Their expressions froze when they heard Fang's words. They were about to dodge, but they found that the ninjutsu in his hand disappeared, and they suddenly breathed a sigh of relief. They tried a new ninjutsu and it failed, so now was their chance. The two looked at each other and ran away. 3, 2, 1, middle. Boom. The Fang clan emblem behind the running man was suddenly torn into a whirlpool. His face changed, and he hit his teammates in front, and at the same time a mouthful of blood spurted out. How can it be? I didn't see him cast any ninjutsu at all. There was no way he could escape the sight of the Sharingan. Uchiha, who was hit by the Rasengan, only had this thought in his mind before he fainted. Sure enough, just like Boruto's Rasengan, which is incombustible, adding a little thunder attribute chakra can make the Rasengan invisible by rotating in reverse. Fang analyzed the situation and walked towards the two fallen people. No, the incombustible Rasengan cannot even be detected by the Byakugan, so in addition to physical invisibility, it should also be radar invisible. Picking up the two pairs of double Magatama Sharingan that had been processed by the sand soldiers on the ground, and placing them in the seal scroll, Fang took out a notebook from his waist pocket and recorded the contents. He wanted to achieve two kinds of invisibility at the same time. I'm afraid it requires extremely fine chakra, especially electromagnetic interference that makes it impossible to detect and escape wide-eyed observation. I always feel like I guessed wrong. After recording, Fang tilted his head and looked at the moon in the night sky. Such a troublesome development process is not something that can be developed in a days at the level of Pineapple Head. It is like having an uneducated elementary school student suddenly telling you that he was typing codes on the computer and somehow created artificial intelligence. However, Fang didn't care. He just regarded what he knew as inspiration for developing ninjutsu, and there was no need to imitate others. When he arrived at home, Fang ate the dinner cooked by his maid Sammy and fell asleep immediately. During the evening gathering, Uchiha Fugaku noticed that there were a few missing people. There is a high probability that he is going to do something, but he can't stop it. Only those few people can explain it. Once he, as the leader, finds out, there will be big trouble, especially based on what Fang said. Under the premise that, Konoha is about to send a second envoy, he couldn't act rashly. Fortunately, he had the foresight and the tribesmen he brought were relatively normal. After being comforted by him, they all suppressed their emotions. Qinfeng's home. Wake up, someone is looking for you. Samyi knocked on Qinfeng's bedroom door with a complicated expression. She already knew that Union Village was exactly what Qinfeng said. It did not take revenge on Sand Hidden Village, and did not even send anyone to negotiate and capture them. Change back. Maybe this is because the fourth Raikage didn't know that they were still alive, but this still made Samyi feel helpless. This meant that at least until the war was over, they prisoners could not leave. Find me. Qinfeng yawned and opened the door. He saw the ninja outside the door at the end of the corridor and walked over. Master Qinfeng, Konoha has sent another messenger, Orochimaru, one of the three ninjas. The sand ninja reported the situation to Qinfeng in a low voice. Orochimaru, is it really him? Qinfeng's eyes lit up when he heard this. When he met Namikaze Minato in Lulin, he guessed that Sarutobi Hiruzen could only send Orochimaru this time. Unless something unexpected happened, such as Jiraiya suddenly returning to the village. Qinfeng came to Feng Ying's office, and a familiar yet unfamiliar figure was sitting in it. His cold temperament was very special. As expected, this is the uncrowned king of the Kingdom of Wind, and even Feng Ying has to wait for him. Seeing the appearance of Qinfeng, Orochimaru confirmed the information collected along the way, and also determined the core target of this negotiation. Now that it was clear, Orochimaru no longer waited, and stood up directly. The situation in Konoha did not allow him to waste a minute or a second, otherwise he would not have come directly to Sunagakure village alone. Sir Qinfeng, this is Konoha's alliance contract. Without pleasantries or fancy words, Orochimaru directly took out the prepared alliance scroll. Qinfeng took the alliance scroll, read it briefly, and threw it to Yi Kang. The contents of the alliance scroll were very basic, nothing more. It means that the country of fire and the country of wind will give some discounts in material trade, while Sunagakure wants to form an alliance with Konoha and provide support in critical moments. Just want to form an alliance. Qinfeng sat on the sofa, propped his chin on his hand and looked at Orochimaru. If you Konoha feel that you still have plenty of time, we can talk slowly. By the way, if we don't reach an agreement, you and the previous Uchiha will stay here for the time being. Quote exclamation mark quote. Hearing Qinfeng's threat, Orochimaru's cold pupils shrank slightly. Before coming here, he could only think of the worst outcome, which was that the alliance would fail, or he would have to pay a heavy price. Unexpectedly, this new strong man from Sand Hidden Village would have the idea of keeping him. Once Orochimaru and the Uchiha clan leader Fugaku are left in Sunagakure village at the same time, Konoha will undoubtedly lose two important combat forces, which will undoubtedly make things worse. The atmosphere solidified for a moment. So I don't know what Qinfengjun wants. Orochimaru's hoarse voice sounded, and a pair of snake eyes stared at Qinfeng. He knew very well that the current negotiation was not about Sunagakure village, but about Qinfeng personally. 3. Qinfeng held out 3 fingers and said, as long as you agree to the 3 requirements, the alliance will be completed immediately. Maybe I can even use my hands to help you solve some troubles. 3 requirements. Orochimaru did not feel lucky because there were only 3 conditions. On the contrary, if there were only 3 requirements, it would definitely be very harsh. Mr. Orochimaru should be aware that our Sunagakure village is very short of people, unlike your Konoha, which is full of talented people. Qinfeng said lightly. So, what does Qinfengjun want? Orochimaru asked bluntly. Simple. Qinfeng snapped his fingers, sat up straight and looked at Orochimaru. 1 Uchiha, 1 Uzumaki. Uchiha and Uzumaki. Orochimaru's pupils shrank, and he knew that things were not that simple. The Uchiha clan is the most powerful and prosperous clan in Konoha today, and even his Hokage teacher Hiruzen Sarutobi is afraid of it. And the Uzumaki clan, even more, it is a clan closely related to Konoha. Behind every Konoha ninja vest, there is the emblem of the Uzumaki clan. The Uzushio village has been destroyed, but due to its special physique and sealing technique, its strategic significance is not inferior to that of the Uchiha. The people in the village don't know it, and not many people in Konoha village even know it, but Orochimaru knows that Konoha was also involved in the destruction of Uzushio village, and even most of the sealing techniques in Uzushio village became the biggest beneficiaries. Konoha's trophies. 90% of the sealing techniques used by Konoha, from Anbu to Hokage, come from the Uzumaki clan, such as the three-party seal, the four-element seal, the Bagua seal, and the sealed forbidden techniques. The zombies were sealed. Orochimaru didn't know whether Fang wanted the Uzumaki clan for their physique or the sealing technique in their hands. I don't know if this counts as one condition or two conditions. After calming down the shock in his heart, Orochimaru asked. Of course it counts as two, I don't have to play word games with you. Fang replied calmly. After getting the answer, Orochimaru pondered for a moment and asked, I wonder which one of the Uchiha and Uzumaki clan Fang-kun wants. Random. Fang replied with 2 words, and then smiled at Orochimaru, who was a little confused. I don't know much about them, you can just give them to 2 people. Hearing what Fang said, Orochimaru couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. Although it was not up to him to decide whether it was the Uchiha clan or the Uzumaki clan, but if there is no specific candidate, then there is still a chance that this request can be fulfilled. He was afraid that Fang's request was from a genius of the Uchiha clan, or a descendant of the clan leader. But when he thought of this, Orochimaru couldn't help but be stunned. It was clear that Fang had made a condition that would embarrass Konoha. He actually felt that the other party was easy to talk to just because of casual. Looking at Orochimaru's expression, Fang naturally understood what he was thinking. Fang said that he did not understand the Uchiha clan and the Uzumaki clan, so he was naturally deceiving. No one understands Uchiha better than him. If it were a few years later, Fang's request might be the daughter of the head of the Hyuga clan. It's a pity that neither Hinata nor Hanabi is born. Recruit Uchiha Itachi as a humanoid spy. Or a spy that can explode at any time. On the other side, Orochimaru channeled a small snake and swallowed a scroll to convey information. Enko, who was far away in Konoha, saw a snake suddenly appeared with a scroll in its mouth, and hurriedly rushed to the Hokage building with the scroll in hand. I have conveyed your request to the Hokage. So, what is the third condition? After completing the transmission, all that is left is to wait for Sarutobi Hiruzen to discuss the results. Orochimaru now just wants to know what the remaining request is. Immortal mode. Immortal mode. How did Fang know? The 4 words spoken by Fang made Orochimaru fall into consternation again. The contractors of the 3 holy lands in the psychic world are all Konoha ninjas. However, even among Konoha, there are only a handful of people who know the sage mode. How did Fang, a foreigner, know this? I have my own way. In the final analysis, sage mode is about absorbing natural energy, right? That's right. Orochimaru calmed down his emotions, and his curiosity gradually rose. After thinking for a while, he said, if the third condition is this, it is actually a bit troublesome. Sage mode is not something ordinary people can practice. Not to mention anything else, Orochimaru has actually tried to practice in sage mode, but unfortunately failed. His body cannot bear the wash of natural energy. Perhaps this is one of the reasons why Orochimaru studies immortal reincarnation. Of course I know this, so you just need to tell me how to get there. Fang shook his head slightly. He naturally knew how difficult the sage mode was. In the original work, the number of people who could activate the sage mode could be counted on both hands, and most of them were incomplete versions. Not to mention the changes in Miamu Mountain. The cultivator who became a toad statue clearly proved the danger and difficulty of cultivating in the sage mode. If it were based on this condition, Orochimaru would indeed not be able to agree, because in Orochimaru's view, even if Fang is a popular person in Sunagakur village, there is no guarantee of success for the new star, and there is a high probability of failure. Therefore, Fang only asked Orochimaru to let him go to Ryachi Cave. This request can be said to be a piece of cake for Orochimaru. If it's just this, I personally can agree to Fang-kun. Orochimaru licked his lips and said, let Fang go to Ryachi Cave. No matter the final result is that he is swallowed by those snakes, or he fails to practice and is backlashed, he can solve a hidden enemy for Konoha without any bloodshed. And this the condition was proposed by Fang himself, and Sunagakur village could not take advantage of it. It was a pity that Orochimaru could not order the snakes in Raichi Cave to attack Fang. But it was precisely because of this that Orochimaru was even more looking forward to it. This is true for him as a contractor, so what will happen to Fang, an outsider? I don't know where you know the immortal mode from, but the White Snake Immortal is not one of those easy-to-talk toads. Orochimaru smiled on the surface, but in his heart he had already begun to plan what would happen after Fang failed. Konoha, Hokage Building. Sarutobi Hiruzen held his pipe in his mouth and looked at the secret letter from Orochimaru brought by Anko. Want someone from the Uchiha clan and the Uzumaki clan. Danzo, what do you think? Putting down his pipe, Sarutobi Hiruzen looked at his old friend by the window. They are taking advantage of the situation. Danzo slapped his hand on the wall with hidden anger. Even if they are still unhappy with the Uchiha clan, it is an internal matter within Konoha. If you send Uchiha and Uzumaki out, it is better to send them to his root for him to study. Calm down. Sarutobi Hiruzen knocked on the table with a slight frown and glanced out the window. Now that the war has begun, there are not many ninjas on the streets of Konoha village, and there are only a few civilians. Even Nara, the village's new think tank Shikaku, was also sent to the front line to command. However, this also meant that few people knew about the matter, and they could minimize the impact. Hiruzen, why do you think Sunagakur village wants an Uchiha and Uzumaki? Suddenly an idea flashed in Danzo's mind, and he turned around and looked straight at Sarutobi Hiruzen. Why? Sarutobi Hiruzen didn't realize for a moment what Danzo meant. Could they be trying to gather the power of Uchiha and Uzumaki? You know, the Senju clan has declined, but there are still many whirlpools. And you should know that according to calculations, the lifespan of the Jinchuriki in Sand Hidden Village is coming to an end, and the Uzumaki clan is the most suitable candidate for the Jinchuriki. Duanzo said with a calm face, slowly. What does it mean to judge a gentleman's heart with a villain's heart? This is a typical example. Danzo, who transplanted Hashirama cells and full-hand Sharingan into himself in the future, now begins to suspect that others also have this idea. You mean, reject? Sarutobi Hiruzen thought for a while and felt that this was indeed possible. They had also had this idea. Uchiha, Senju, and Uzumaki were all their own, and they could not force any two people to combine. What's more, Uchiha was originally for their political opponents in the Hokage line. Doing this will make the Uchiha more powerful, but they will destroy themselves if a real monster is born. However, they cannot allow Sunagakur village to do this. No, we must agree, Hiruzen. Danzo had a painful expression on his face, as if he had put in a lot of effort to make this decision. Hiruzen, you should know that just paying the price of two people can save countless comrades on the front line from dying. This is a necessary sacrifice. Sarutobi Hiruzen frowned. Then how to deal with the situation you mentioned? Danzo raised the corners of his mouth, revealing an old and sinister smile. Since Sunagakur village has no other requirements, can't we just give it to two people of the same gender? Oh, Sarutobi Hiruzen's eyes lit up. This is a good idea. After just one round of conversation, they had already decided to sacrifice two people, without any psychological burden at all. Two people of the same gender. If they want to gain the power of Uchiha and Uzumaki at the same time, they have to wait at least for the next generation. By then we have every chance to obliterate them. Danzo said another reason coldly. They, Konoha, are now forced to pay this price. As long as the war is over, they will no longer be fish on the chopping board and can break up at any time. Sarutobi Hiruzen heard the words and did not answer. He picked up the pipe and took a puff. It was obvious that he agreed with Danzo's words. But Danzo was the root of darkness. He was the Hokage of light and could not say such words. It's when there's no one else. Let Fugaku decide on the choice for Uchiha. Sarutobi Hiruzen took out a new scroll, began to write the content, and finally struck a seal and handed it to the contact snake. After the contact snake swallowed the scroll, it returned to Ryuji Cave with a bang. The scroll was all ready. It is stated that Uchiha Fugaku must sacrifice one person, and it must be a woman, preferably younger. If you are young, you can avoid Sunagakur village and let them produce offspring immediately. It seems that you already have a candidate for the Uzumaki clan. Danzo smiled lightly as he watched Hiruzen Sarutobi complete a series of operations. Since the destruction of Uzushio village and the displacement of the Uzumaki clan, there are actually only 2 of us in the village. Even if we have some information about the Uzumaki clan in other areas, it's too late now. Sarutobi Hiruzen blew out a smoke ring and said calmly. Hiruzen, it seems you have become smarter and know how to choose. Danzo was very satisfied with Sarutobi Hiruzen's decision. He turned around and walked towards the door. Choose the weak Uzumaki clan. Even if we don't take action in the future, there won't be any problems. Oh, I'm sorry, Mito-sensei. After Danzo left, Sarutobi Hiruzen sighed and walked out of the Hokage building. Walking all the way to the edge of the village, Sarutobi Hiruzen looked at a red-haired girl who was sitting on a recliner reading a book seriously and walked over. Kushina, are you feeling better? Sarutobi Hiruzen asked with a kind face, like a kind elder. In fact, he was worried that if the child recovered over the years, there would be some trouble. Ahem, is it Lord Hokage? Sorry The red-haired girl raised her head and saw Hiruzen Sarutobi. She coughed twice, frowned slightly and covered her heart, shaking her head. Sarutobi Hiruzen talked with Kushina for some time and finally convinced her to go to Sunagakur village. It didn't take much effort. Kushina just asked the reason and agreed to the request. After completing the persuasion, Sarutobi Hiruzen took Kushina to the Hokage's office, summoned a group of ninjas who stayed in Konoha, and as a new group of envoys, took Kushina to Sunagakur village. Although Sunagakur village only mentioned 2 conditions, it is better to prepare some things just in case. Sarutobi Hiruzen saves others by himself. Even though Orochimaru's scroll said that Sunagakur village only asked Konoha to bring out 1 Uchiha tribesman and 1 Uzumaki tribesman, it still asked the envoys to bring some alliance gifts. It's not anything valuable, there are no ninjutsu scrolls, just some strategic supplies, such as shurikens, kunai, and Hyorio pills. The Fire Country is located in the most prosperous area, and even though Konoha is currently fighting against the 3 major countries, there are no supplies at all. There was no shortage. Perhaps it was because Orochimaru's scroll mentioned that once Konoha and Sunagakur formed an alliance, Fang might help them. Sarutobi Hiruzen thought about it and asked the envoys to bring twice as many supplies. Of course, Sarutobi Hiruzen does not think that if Fang helps them, Konoha will directly gain the advantage and victory, even if he kills White Fang and the 3rd Raikage. After leaving the desert of the Kingdom of Wind, I wonder how much strength he has left. Sarutobi Hiruzen stood by the window and looked at the departing envoys, squinting his eyes and puffing out smoke. Orochimaru did not mention Fang's request for Raichi Cave Immortal technique in the scroll, but the master and disciple were surprisingly they all have a tacit understanding, and they all want to find out the bottom of Fang and find an opportunity to eliminate this threat. What? Sarutobi Hiruzen hopes for most is Fang and the 2nd generation Tsuchikage Wu of Iwagakure village, and the 2nd generation Mizuno of Kurigakure village. Like Shadow Ghost and Lantern Wyu, they died together with a strong man from another village. Half a day later, the Konoha envoys had arrived in the Kingdom of Wind. There was no movement at all inside. Could it be that he was dead? A Konoha Chunin glanced at the carriage where supplies were placed, and asked his companions in a low voice. Fart, I just brought water in. If she dies, we will all be finished. The Junin of Konoha next to him slapped the Chunin on the head and warned him. He knew that their escort this time was a critical mission. If something went wrong, all their previous efforts would be in vain. Maybe they would be beaten by the current one. Orochimaru, who was trying hard to negotiate in Sunagakur village, was killed in the carriage. Kushina, who was thrown together with supplies as if they were trading items, listened to the words outside. Instead of being depressed, she gradually became more expectant. Have you left the land of fire? Kushina opened the curtains of the carriage and secretly glanced at the endless desert outside, twirling a kunai on her index finger. At this time, Kushina was no longer as weak as before in front of Sarutobi Hiruzen. Yes, she was pretending all this. The reason goes back to the time when the Second Ninja World War had just ended, and the ninja world was about to enter a brief and precious period of peaceful development. It was at that time that Kumogakure sent a delegation to Konoha to sign an armistice agreement, and because Uzushio village was suddenly wiped out, Kushina was brought to Konoha, where she saw the long-lost Uzumaki grandma who experienced a short warm time. Soon, she was asked to enter the ninja school. In the ninja school, Kushina was very depressed and confused, and she thought about the night of genocide, the last words the clan leader said before desperately trying to stop the enemy. Never make an alliance easily, you must clearly distinguish who is a friend and who is just a wolf in the skin of a friend. Then, the younger generation dispersed and fled. I don't know how many of them were caught up and killed by the enemy, and I don't know how many of them fled to other ninja villages to hide their names. Kushina was still young at that time and did not understand this sentence. Until she came Konoha. In the memory of little Kushina, Konoha and Uzushio village have been completely brother villages since the union of Senju Hashirama and Uzumaki Mito. Then the people in Konoha, it should be the same as the brothers and sisters in Uzushio village. But the facts tell little Kushina that these Konoha people who insulted her, pulled her hair, and put frogs in her table are definitely not friends and brothers and sisters. On a day when several envoys from the ninja village arrived in Konoha to discuss the truce and peace talks, little Kushina was kidnapped. From the mouths of those Kumogakure village ninjas, she learned in advance that she was here to succeed Grandma Mito and become the next generation. It's a pity that there is an error in the information of Kumogakure, thinking that Kushina has become a Jinchuriki, and he wants to bring Kyuubi back to Kumogakure together. In the end, adhering to the human nature of come and come, the cloud-hidden village still captured little Kushina. After all, the Uzumaki clan's physique was the most suitable for becoming a Jinchuriki, and it didn't even require much physical training. Little Kushina was not afraid of being captured. The harsh human relationships she experienced in Konoha left her with no sense of belonging to this place except Grandma Mito. However, she was eventually rescued by a young man of about the same age as her, and several Kumogakure ninjas were imprisoned by him. She entered the puppet and was buried deep in the ground. Then, the person who rescued her looked at her and left a message. Is this the Konoha village version of the Truman world? If you don't want to be manipulated like this, then remember, as long as you are a waste, no one can take advantage of you. After that, the young ninja wearing the Sunagakure forehead protector disappeared. Yes, it was Chikaz who went to Konoha to sign the armistice agreement with the Sunagakure village envoys who saved Kushina. At that time, Fang's strength was still based on various strange puppets. In essence, the combined strength of the several Kumogakure ninjas who kidnapped Kushina would definitely not be killed instantly. However, at that time, the Fang Desert Emperor template had not yet been fully activated, but there was another plugin. He had never actively used Wedge's power, but it was another matter that the ninjutsu of Cloud Hidden Village hit his hand. The Cloud Ninja wanted to cut off the hand that controlled the puppet, but as a result, all the Thunder Escape Chakra was absorbed by Wei, and when he lost his mind, he walked toward death. After saving little Kushina, Fang thought of the methods of the third Hokage. How could the vessel that was about to become the Nine Tails Jinchuriki be hijacked so easily by a few weak Kumogakure ninjas and taken out of the village? Are all the Anbu and Danzo's roots in the village dead? Has Konoha's defensive barrier become a decoration? Think about the future Uzumaki Naruto. He is obviously the son of a hero, but he is named the Nine-Tailed Demon Fox. Sarutobi Hiruzen said it was to protect Naruto. The fourth Hokage was too famous during the Third Ninja War and offended too many people. It would be very dangerous for other ninja villages to know that Naruto was the son of the fourth Hokage. It's actually fart. Every strong man in the ninja world has his hands covered with blood. Are their descendants anonymous? Apart from anything else, the same goes for Konoha White Fang's son. Why didn't Kakashi change his surname? Furthermore, no matter how dangerous the identity of the son of the fourth Hokage is, it seems not as dangerous as the identity of the nine-tailed Jinchuriki, right? While talking about protecting Naruto and concealing his identity as the fourth son, he also let ordinary villagers know that he was the nine-tailed Jinchuriki. Is this because Union Village has no idea? Afterwards, he put on a good show. The most important sealed book in Konoha was stolen directly by a genin who couldn't even use the clone technique. Sometimes a scene really doesn't allow you to think about it in detail. So, at that time, Fang couldn't help but remind Kushina-chan what she said. Of course, Fang would never admit that he said this because he found that Kushina's face was round and cute when she was a child. Just saying this, Fang left. After all, Sarutobi Hiruzen and the upcoming Konoha Anbu would not accompany him as a Sunagakure village ninja to act. The next day, When Fang was preparing to leave Konoha with the large army, he received a gift secretly sent by Kushina. A box of dark tomato pie that is burnt black and sweet. Kushina actually liked tomatoes and peppers when she was in Uzushio village, but when she arrived in Konoha, she was constantly teased about the color of her hair and was nicknamed Tomato, which made her hate the word. The gift of tomato pie represented Kushina's sincere gratitude. However, what Fang didn't expect was that his words would actually become butterfly wings that flapped the hurricane. With the end of the armistice peace talks, Konoha began to prepare for Kushina to become a Jinchuriki. During this time, Kushina began to use the Uzumaki clan's sealing technique on herself. The ever-deepening various seals made her chakra become less and less, and her body became weaker. After showing signs of physical weakness, little Kushina was surprised to find that the bad classmates who had been causing trouble for her had become much more peaceful. Although she still has no friends, at least she won't be bullied anymore. At this time, she began to believe Fang's words. Little Kushina is getting weaker day by day, as if she doesn't know when she will die prematurely, but she is becoming more and more proficient in the sealing techniques of the Uzumaki clan. In Konoha village, the only one who could find her using the sealing technique on herself was Uzumaki Mito, who was also a member of the Uzumaki clan. After discovering Kushina's actions, Uzumaki Mito did not blame her. Instead, he taught her the yin sealing technique so that she would not waste it in vain after sealing the chakra. Just when Kushina learned the yin seal and began to store 90% of her chakra, another little girl from the Uzumaki clan was brought to the village. Next, little Kushina's life became no different from ordinary people. Until not long ago, Sarutobi Hiruzen found her and asked her to make sacrifices for the village and go to Sunagaku village. Grandma Mito, thank you. Kushina, who was sitting in the carriage and looking out, was blown by a gust of wind. Her red hair flowed behind her ears, revealing a diamond-shaped mark on her forehead. Kushina was looking forward to seeing her only friend from many years ago, but she soon discovered a problem. Due to the constant use of sealing techniques on herself, her body has basically not developed. Compared with many years ago, she has only grown slightly taller. Wow, everyone has grown up, but I am still a child. I wonder if I can grow up after the yin seal is released. Kushina rubbed her round face, feeling a little troubled. Bang! There was an angry shout from the residence where Uchiha was under house arrest. Uchiha Fugaku, who was originally a Confucian and easy-going man, looked at Orochimaru in front of him angrily. Orochimaru brought the Hokage scroll spit out by the contact snake and delivered it to Uchiha Fugaku. The village actually wants to sacrifice our clan in exchange for the alliance with Sunagaku village. Uchiha Fugaku clenched his fists. At this moment, his impression of Sarutobi Hiruzen dropped sharply. What made him feel even more disgusted was that Sarutobi Hiruzen actually asked him to make his own decision on which one to sacrifice, position. This was clearly intended to create a gap between him, the clan leader, and his clan members. Calm down, Fugaku-kun. Orochimaru faced the furious Uchiha Fugaku without any emotion, and said calmly, "You are not just for the village. If you don't pay some price, maybe neither you nor I can leave Sunagaku village." What? Uchiha Fugaku's expression froze and he looked at Orochimaru in shock. You mean, Sunagaku village still regards us as a threat? The conditions for the Uzumaki clan and me have been met, all that's left is your decision. If you can accept it, Fugaku-kun, then come to the Cage building to hand over at noon tomorrow. Orochimaru shook his head slightly, without saying much, and handed over the final decision to Uchiha Fugaku. Tomorrow at noon, it is the time when the Konoha envoys escorting supplies and Uzumaki Kushina are about to arrive. After that, leave. Walk out. After the Uchiha clan was under house arrest, Orochimaru looked up at the sun disk in the distance. Before he came, the only thing Chifeng heard about was the last words of the third Raikage. But today he was shopping in Sunagaku village. Suddenly learned about the role of the solar disk. Launch targeted terror attacks against hostile ninjas. Originally, Orochimaru held the idea that even if the negotiations broke down, he could escape with a small number of ninjas. Now, even though he didn't know clearly and had never seen the power of the sun disk, he still felt that this idea might be in vain. After Orochimaru left, Uchiha Fugaku covered his eyes with one hand while calming down his emotions. Finally, he summoned the tribesmen who came to Sand Hidden Village this time, and directly displayed the scroll written by Sarutobi Hiruzen himself, told them what happened. Patriarch, just let me go. No, I'd better stay. After a short period of silence, several Uchiha stood up and expressed their willingness to sacrifice. You are all the pride of your clan. Uchiha Fugaku closed his eyes, his heart full of emotion, and finally opened his eyes and made a decision. Those who are willing to stay for the clan, come with me to the Cage building tomorrow. He still didn't want to personally decide the future of a clan member, and was ready to leave the choice to Sunagakure village. Late at night, everyone went back to their bedrooms to rest. Uchiha Fugaku suddenly appeared in some clan members' rooms. These tribesmen are all unqualified tribesmen, and Uchiha Fugaku is here to dissuade them. Regarding the requirement to stay, Sarutobi Hiruzen required that she must be female, preferably as young as possible. Uchiha Fugaku, on the other hand, requires that the victim be a person who has not activated the Sharingan, or even has a low probability of opening the Sharingan. This can avoid the bloody sequel to the greatest extent. At first, the tribesmen expressed their willingness to sacrifice, but no one would have thought that in the end, only 4 people were left. These 4 little girls are of different ages, 2 have Magatama, and 2 have not yet opened their Sharingan. At the same time, one of their parents is a foreigner and their blood is not pure. The talents of these people are unknown, but for the blood inheritance limit, there is a high probability that impure blood means poor talents. This is the most Uchiha Fugaku can do. At noon the next day, Fang was informed by Orochimaru to discuss the peace talks and alliance, so he had lunch and went to the Cage office to wait in advance. Orochimaru hasn't told him the location of Raichi Cave yet. After all, if the other 2 conditions were not met and he gave it first, wouldn't it be in vain? That seems to be Tsunade-sama. Kushina, who got off the carriage, looked at a blonde woman walking into the tavern not far away and rubbed her eyes. Like most female ninjas in Konoha, Tsunade, one of the 3 ninjas, is their idol. In addition, Kushina is a descendant of Uzumaki Mito, and Tsunade is Uzumaki Mito's granddaughter. The 2 are also relatives. They met several times when Uzumaki Mito was alive, so Kushina is still relatively fond of Tsunade, familiar. What nonsense are you talking about? How could Tsunade-sama appear in Sunagakure village? The Konoha ninja curled his lips when he heard Kushina's muttering. Several other Konoha ninjas followed Kushina's gaze. At this time, Tsunade had entered the tavern and disappeared. On the other side, as Qian Samyi, the maid of the Fang family, was holding a small leather bag with a cold face, picking out the ingredients for dinner. Speechless, the Konoha ninja withdrew his gaze, feeling that this girl from the Uzumaki clan not only has physical problems but also has some brain problems. Seeing the big blonde cow is Princess Tsunade. Okay, hurry up and go upstairs. This is where you will live from now on. There is plenty of time to take a look. The Konoha ninja urged Kushina, who was staying there and looking around impatiently. Oh, Kushina puffed up her mouth slightly and ran directly to the stairs. Behind her, Uchiha Fugaku arrived with 4 victims of the Uchiha clan. Is that the Uzumaki clan who is going to be sacrificed? Uchiha Fugaku looked at Kushina's back going up the stairs, then turned to look at the 4 junior girls. No matter who of you stays here, you must maintain a good relationship with her. You are both from Konoha, so you should take care of each other, got it? I understand, Patriarch. The 4 Uchiha blackheads nodded cutely. However, Uchiha Fugaku didn't know that the Uzumaki clan did not regard him as a Konoha ninja. In Feng Ying's office, Yi Kang, his disciple Wan and Fenghua Xiaoshui were handling official duties seriously. As several of Fang's plans unfolded, the Kingdom of Wind gradually began to develop, with more and more affairs. Yi Kang didn't complain, because this was what she expected to see. The outside world is fighting, but they are recuperating. Is there a better situation than this? Fang sat on the sofa and waited for Orochimaru's arrival, while looking at the recent information about the Country of Fire. They have all arrived on the battlefield, and it seems that the 4th Raikage, Golden Flash, and Shunshin Shisui are all starting to make a name for themselves. Putting the scroll he had read back to its original place, Fang touched his chin. Suddenly I realized that the ninjas who became famous this time relied on their speed. Does it mean that everyone likes faster men now? Dong dong dong. There was a knock on the door of Casecage's office. The door was opened, and a little red head came in and took a careful look. When she saw Fang, Kushina's eyes lit up. She opened the door and ran. When he arrived in front of him, he waved his little hands. Do you still remember me? It's me. It's me. You. Seeing the sudden appearance of the little girl, Fang was slightly startled, and then was a little surprised. Are you Kushina? Have you not become the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki? If Kushina appears here, then she must not be a Jinchuriki. No matter how much Sarutobi Hiruzen compromises, even if he sends his wife, he will never be able to exchange the Jinchuriki to Sunagakur village. You sure knew it then. Kushina's eyes lit up, and she was about to show off her clever moves to this friend she hadn't seen for many years, when she suddenly thought that there were several Konoha ninjas following behind her. Wait a minute, wait a minute. Kushina made a shish gesture and pointed to the door. Within 2 seconds, 2 ninjas wearing Konoha green vests ran in. Sorry, this is Uzumaki Kushina of the Uzumaki clan. Our escort mission is over. Let's take our leave. After the leader of Konoha Ninja finished speaking, he bowed and pulled his companions away. Finally left. Watching the Konoha Ninja leaving, Kushina patted her chest, turned to Fang, and was about to speak. Boom. The door was pushed open again. Uchiha Fugaku led the 4 short figures with a heavy look on his face. Come in. From the Uchiha clan. Are they like me? Kushina looked at the 4 people brought by Uchiha Fugaku, and half of her good mood that she had just seen acquaintances was lost. How? The Uchiha clan leader is going to buy 1 and get 3 free. Fang looked at Uchiha Fugaku coming with 4 people, and joked. Your Excellency is joking, these 4 are all outstanding children of our clan. No matter which one I abandon, I, the clan leader, will not bear it, so please make your own choice. Uchiha Fugaku took a deep breath and said to Fang. Excellent. Fang wanted to laugh. He only put forward the condition of being a member of the Uchiha clan, without any additional requirements. Uchiha Fugaku will treat the best in the clan if they weren't afraid of being exposed and causing trouble. Uchiha Fugaku might have taken those people who changed their surnames and married into the Uchiha clan as victims. However, when Fang saw one of them, I know Uchiha Fugaku made a miscalculation. Please introduce yourselves to Lord Fang. Uchiha Fugaku said to the 4 people. My name is Uchiha Mame, I am good at shuriken. My name is Uchiha Izumi, I'm good at taijutsu. My name is. After a brief introduction, the 4 of them stood there obediently, waiting for Fang's choice. Uchiha Fugaku stood aside and watched silently. Now that he had made a decision, he would not regret it. However, he believed that Fang would most likely choose the last one. 2 are good at shuriken, 1 is good at taijutsu, and the other is good at genjutsu. No matter how you say it, those who are good at genjutsu are more in line with Sharingan. It's you, Spring. To Uchiha Fugaku's expectation, Fang chose the one who was good at taijutsu, which made him confused for a while about Fang's true purpose. Yes, Uchiha Izumi was stunned for a moment, then lowered her head and walked behind Fang. This meant that she became a victim. Although the other 3 Uchiha little girls were each ready to sacrifice, they chose Fang after seeing Uchiha Izumi. Everyone still breathed a sigh of relief. Even though he was mentally prepared, his heart was still tight and he was full of unknown confusion about the future. Since you have chosen Quan, I will take the other 3 people away. I hope you can treat this child well. Uchiha Fugaku took a deep breath, said nothing, and left the Casecage office with the 3 of them. He seemed surprised that I chose you. Fang turned around and looked at the Uchiha black long straight girl standing behind him. My strength and talent are very poor, and I have never learned any ninjutsu. The clan leader and we all thought that you would choose Sister Hezi. Izumi Uchiha lowered his head and explained in a low voice. Kazuko is the last one who is good at illusions. If you just look at the introductions of a few people, she should indeed be the one with the most potential. But Fang is the one who knows the future. You were wrong. Fang pressed a hand on Izumi's soft and smooth head. The talent of the Uchiha clan lies in the Sharingan, and even if there is a Sharingan, a good teacher is also the key. Uchiha Izumi, in the future, a person who can directly awaken the three Magatama if he works as an ordinary genin in peacetime, helping the daimyo's wife to take care of pets, and helping officials of the fire country move. Are you telling me this is due to poor talent? Uchiha Sasuke cried and fainted in the toilet after the whole clan was wiped out and ordered Magatama, okay. Sharingan, that's right too. Izumi Uchiha lowered his head and muttered to himself. Indeed, the ultimate criterion for judging the strength of the Uchiha clan is the use of the Sharingan. However, my father is a foreigner, so the chances of me awakening the Sharingan are actually not very high. Even if I awaken, I won't be able to grow like other tribesmen. Uchiha Izumi, who has been indoctrinated in the blood theory of the Uchiha clan since she was a child, carefully raised her head and explained to Fang. She felt the kindness in this person, but she was unwilling to deceive. She was afraid that Fang would waste his efforts on her, but in the end he would return disappointed. He is a kind child. Before Fang spoke, a head popped up behind him and muttered. They also lived on the edge of the village. Kushina could see many conflicts between the Uchiha clan every day. She could certainly, there are very few people with a character like Izumi in the Uchiha clan. As for the titled child, despite Kushina's appearance as a little girl, she should actually be the same age as Chika's, maybe even still a year or two older. Don't worry, no one knows Sharingan better than me. Your growth here will be far beyond what you remember as a genius. Fang took back his hand and snapped his fingers. Beyond genius. Can I really do that? Uchiha Izumi thought of the patriarch's son whom he had just met before going to Sand Hidden Village. It is said that he is a genius with terrible talent. Growing up in a family that values talent and respects the strong, no one can refuse to become stronger. What's more, not just the Uchiha clan, but the entire ninja world as well. Of course, the person who answered Quan was Yi Kang, who was sitting in the back. Yi Kang handed over the official duties in his hands to Wan beside him, pushed away the chair and walked over. Lord Cage. In fact, not long ago, I was just an ordinary Junin. Yi Kang glanced at Fang and continued to say to Quan. But now, under his leadership, I believe that I am the strongest Cage now. Even if the previous third Cage was still alive, Yi Kang believed that his ascendant's burning escape form could completely crush him. Uchiha Izumi was shocked and lost his mind. She had no idea that there was still something behind the young-looking Cage's appointment. There is such a reason. Yes, join me and you will be promoted. Fang opened his mouth to show that Yi Kang's words were true. But why? I'm just an ordinary non-talented outsider. Uchiha Izumi did not doubt the authenticity, but was unable to understand Fang's thoughts for a while. It felt like he trusted himself too much and didn't regard himself as a possible spy for Konoha. This feeling is very warm, but it also makes Quan feel very puzzled and confusing. Why? Fang leaned on the sofa and looked at the sunlight coming in from the window. He raised his hand and held a ray, but someone once asked the sun, why does it shine on the earth and nourish all things? If I have to give you one reason, this world is shrouded in layers of lies, like an endless desert. After all, the battle between ninja villages is just a script in the eyes of others. I think there are people like me who can see further. The world is a desert, and I am an oasis. Fang's words were meant for Izumi and Kushina. At the same time, he did not shy away from Orochimaru who was standing outside the door. Son. Quan looked at Fang's glowing figure in the sun and was confused for a moment. Orochimaru who was outside the door was also surprised for a moment by Fang's measure, and subconsciously reflected on whether he was bound by Konoha village. His ideal is immortality, learning various ninjutsu, and exploring the truth of the world. But, what is he doing now? Wasting time acting as a messenger for boring interest disputes. He is indeed a born leader. After Orochimaru came to his senses, he couldn't help but sigh. Even he realized a lot because of Fang's words, not to mention the two little girls from the Uchiha clan and the Uzumaki clan. Konoha seemed to have miscalculated. They thought that even if Uchiha Izumi and Uzumaki Kushina were exchanged to Sunagakure village, they would not be 100% trusted immediately. And this would not be short-lived, or even for the rest of their lives. If Sand Hidden Village wants to obtain bloodline power, it can only reproduce the next generation. Sarutobi-sensei, have you thought of this? Orochimaru opened the door and walked in silently. He found that Uchiha and the two little girls from the Uzumaki clan were already looking at Fang with expressions of admiration and admiration. Being young can indeed significantly delay the use of bloodline power, but it also means that the mind is not firm. As long as the opponent has enough capacity, he can be easily convinced. Did Sarutobi Hiruzen and Danzo think of this? Maybe you've considered it. But they didn't care. In their eyes, the two people who were traded will become their assassination targets after everything is over. There is no possibility of returning to the village again. While Orochimaru was distracted, several people in the room noticed him. Izumi and Kushina subconsciously hid behind Fang, as if they trusted him more than Orochimaru from Konoha. This made Orochimaru feel a little emotional again, and at the same time he felt that he had learned something. Maybe if you meet some talented kids in the future, you can fool them like this. Fang never imagined that he would become Orochimaru's teacher on child abduction. I'll fulfill the last condition. Orochimaru saw everyone turning their attention to him and took out a scroll from behind. I thought you were going to spit it out of your mouth. Fang raised his eyebrows when he saw this scene. Orochimaru. According to time calculation, Orochimaru should have accepted the village's secret mission by now, studying the cells of Senju Hashirama in an attempt to obtain the wood release. This research society was stopped by Hiruzen Sarutobi after sacrificing countless babies. After all, you can still find some abandoned babies during the war. After the Third War is over, you can only use the civilians of the Fire Country or even the children of the ninja village for experiments. In the end, Orochimaru followed Danzo's instructions, and the two continued to study in secret. It was from that time that Orochimaru's mentality gradually changed again. Although Orochimaru has now experienced lamentation about the fragility of life, he has not yet reached the limit of perversion. Fang is happy to officially cooperate with Orochimaru after his resurrection in the Fourth Ninja War. But the current Orochimaru has not witnessed Sennin Kabuto's failure. Kabuto Yakushi inherited everything from him and reached the state he dreamed of. He was unable to cultivate the sage mode, perfect the reincarnation of dirty soil, and the strong men of the shadow and ninja world who were reincarnated from the dirty soil. Even so, Kabuto Yakushi still failed. Only then did Orochimaru truly change. In other words, Orochimaru has returned to his original appearance. Therefore, under the current situation, Fang at most has some brief interest transactions with Orochimaru, and it is impossible to cooperate. Alternatively, Fang can find an opportunity to let Orochimaru complete the death wish after his resurrection during the Fourth War in advance, but not now. He has too many things to do now, and he won't waste too much energy on Orochimaru. Not to mention anything else, just Kushina and Uchiha Izumi, Fang can make them surpass Orochimaru in a short time. This is the temporary contract scroll of Longdi Cave. After pressing the hand seal and forming the reverse psychic seal, you can go to the outskirts of Longdi Cave. Orochimaru handed the scroll he just got from White Snake Sage yesterday to Fang. Originally, he went to see White Snake Sage himself for this trivial matter, in order to make him feel bad about Fang. But in the end, White Snake Sage didn't show any emotion, just said, it depends on whether he can succeed. If he fails, it will be just one more lunch. But now, after Orochimaru listened to Fang's speech because of the relationship between Ninja Village, the hostility in the relationship dissipated a lot, and most of what was left was just curiosity. Moreover, Orochimaru avoided the Konoha ninja who sent Kushina over, and Uchiha Fugaku, just because he didn't want them to know about his deal with Fang. Even if he took out the Raichi Cave contract for Konoha, Orochimaru originally planned to wait for Uzumaki Kushina and Uchiha Izumi to leave before taking out the scroll, but judging from the current situation, it is basically impossible for these two people to ask for it. Konoha passed on information. Temporary contract, no problem. Fang took the scroll and looked at Orochimaru. No, Orochimaru replied expressionlessly. That's good. Fang glanced out the window and accepted the scroll. It is very simple to determine the authenticity. When Orochimaru spoke, the sun disk did not notice the malicious intent and launched an attack. Okay, let's talk to Fang Ying about the rest, I'll take the first step. Fang waved his hand to Orochimaru, and left with Kushina and Izumi. Walking all the way home, Qinfeng opened the door. Stay at my house for now, and I will make other arrangements for you later. Qinfeng took out the scroll and signaled to the two of them. Well, go ahead and get busy. Kushina pulled Quan to change her shoes and nodded obediently. They were also envious and eager for the psychic contract in one of the 3 holy lands, so they naturally understood Qinfeng. I'm going to go then. If I need anything, I'll talk to the Cloud Ninja maid in the kitchen. She won't dare to cause trouble. Qinfeng nodded slightly, unfolded the scroll, pressed a hand seal, and formed the psychic seal in reverse order. As a former puppet master, he is still very clear about the seal of necromancy, but it is not because of the psychic beast, but because of the puppets and scrolls created through necromancy. Boom! Thousands of winds turned into a puff of smoke and disappeared. On the other side, Orochimaru, who was signing an alliance with Yi Kang, frowned and accelerated the progress of the negotiations. Qinfeng said that only 3 conditions need to be met to form an alliance, but that doesn't mean there is nothing else to discuss. Those 3 conditions are unequal treaties. The post-alliance equality treaty currently being negotiated. It's just that Orochimaru sensed that the scroll had been used, and was more inclined to explore Qinfeng's strength and witness whether he could pass the test of Raichi Cave and learn the Sage Mode. Especially due to the influence of Qinfeng's words before, Orochimaru now lost interest in these things in Konoha. For this reason, Orochimaru did as much as possible within the scope allowed by him. Whatever Yi Kang proposed, he would directly agree without saying anything more. Seeing Orochimaru's posture, Yi Kang probably guessed what he was anxious to do. There was no special obstruction, and the negotiation was quickly ended and a letter of alliance was handed over. You should know that even if Konoha has fulfilled his conditions, if he doesn't come back for a day, our Sunagaku village will not launch any support. When handing over the alliance letter, Yi Kang reminded Orochimaru bluntly. She believed that Qinfeng's strength would not cause any trouble, but she was afraid of getting into trouble. Don't worry, Lord Funying, his wind is stronger than ever. Orochimaru answered seriously and stuffed the alliance letter into his arms. Farewell. Walk slowly and don't send. Out of the cage building, Orochimaru found a corner, formed seals with his hands, and disappeared into Sunagaku village into a burst of smoke. In Raichi Cave, Orochimaru took out the alliance book in his arms, attracted a small snake, and stuffed it into his mouth. Send to Konoha. After finishing, Orochimaru quickly rushed to the outside. At this time, the outside was filled with mist, and Qinfeng was walking in it. The sky was filled with fog, and I didn't know but thought this was the Kurigaku village. Qinfeng walked aimlessly, muttering to himself. He could feel some chakra fluctuations in the mist, but he did not use wind escape to blow it away. In Qinfeng's memory, Longdi Cave seemed to be able to use some the illusion will test the visitors. Once the test fails, the snakes here will be used as food. Qinfeng itself has no special resistance to the illusion, but as long as he enters the ascending mode, he will automatically become powerful just like the Jinchuriki entering the tailed beast mode. It greatly increased the resistance to illusions, but it was obviously not necessary to use it now. What Qinfeng didn't expect was that he would just walk for a long time. That's almost done, right? Qinfeng took out a homemade watch, looked at the time, and said casually to the empty sky. This place is endless and there is no sun. It seems that he is lost, but reason tells Qinfeng that this should be illusion. Putting away his watch, Qinfeng continued to move forward. Sure enough, after walking for a while, he saw a faint light. In response, Qinfeng did not rush forward excitedly, but still kept his original speed and walked slowly. At the light source, at the same time, Orochimaru, who had already arrived and watched Qinfeng walking for a long time, slowly retreated. I didn't expect that this time it would be the test by Sanshenji herself, and I didn't know whether it was luck or misfortune. Orochimaru, who was hiding in the dark and observing, thought in his mind. The 3 goddesses of Raichi Cave all look like young and beautiful women, but in fact each of them has lived for thousands of years. Their status and strength in Raichi Cave are second only to Orochimaru, who had passed the test of Raichi Cave, naturally understood that it was nothing more than a test of desire, wisdom and self, and it was not difficult for him at least at the level of Miamu Mountain. But the 3 goddesses are the ones who make the rules, and they have the right to adjust the difficulty and content of the test at will. This is why Orochimaru thinks Qinfeng, doesn't know whether it is lucky or unfortunate. Quote. Is this the Longdi cave? Qin Fang looked up at a door. There was a dragon carved on the door with a scroll in his mouth. On the scroll were written 3 characters, Dragon's Dadong. Squeak. The door was pushed open, and a beautiful woman walked out with a streamer behind her. The wind blows like a fairy. Are you a new trialist? Thank you for your hard work, please come in. The fairy smiled at Qin Fang and invited him in. I am Tian Xinji from Longdi Cave. I must be hungry after walking for such a long time. Let's eat something and take a rest. The table is filled with all kinds of steaming food, which looks very exquisite. According to the time I was walking outside just now, I should be hungry now. But, forget it, I'll just eat a rice ball. Qin Fang took out a rice ball from somewhere and took a bite. When Tian Xinji saw this, her smiling expression suddenly froze. She stepped forward and looked at Qin Fang in confusion. There are so many delicious foods in front of you. Why do you want to eat this dry rice ball? Tasty. Qin Fang chewed the rice ball and tilted his head to look at Tian Xinji. Are you talking about these things? Don't these suit you? Tian Xinji frowned slightly. These were all prepared, carefully, by her. Is there still a problem? It's nothing. I'll tell you what real food is when I have time later. Qin Fang shook his head and threw the last bite of the rice ball into his mouth. In his previous life, Qin Fang had been to many Michelin-starred restaurants. What's strange is that most of the more delicious ones were 2-star and 1-star restaurants. Star. And the famous Kaiseki restaurant with 3 Michelin stars is doubtful of life. It is really the same ingredients, but the fried rice made by Tian Xinji is better than that. Exquisite food, reminded Qin Fang of that psychological shadow. He would rather eat some junk food, fried chicken, French fries, and hot pot molotong than touch these things. For musicians, inferior songs. It polluted their ears, and for a foodie, this kind of exquisite cuisine also polluted Qin Fang's tongue. Are you looking down on my dedication to cooking? When Tian Xinji heard what Qian Feng said, she couldn't help but darken her face and seemed a little angry. Even the tape behind her began to shake rapidly. As white snakes who have lived for thousands of years, the 3 gods have their own interests and hobbies. Studying human cuisine is Tian Xinji's hobby. What she is most passionate about is watching those who are seduced by her food happily eat the food, and then they are devoured by her chakra and turned into corpses. You can't say that. Maybe people and snakes have different tastes. Qin Fang shook his head slightly, and the food outside now may not be any better than what you have. If you have the chance, I will give you some recipes that you have researched yourself and you can try. The development of various aspects of life in the ninja world requires a period of peace. Senju Hashirama brought a period of peace, and the ninja world developed schools. After the Third Ninja War, there was peace for a period of time, and the ninja world developed instant noodles, cameras and other daily necessities. The peace after the end of the Fourth World War brought thunder cars, computers, biotechnology, scientific ninja tools, French fries, fried chicken, hamburgers and cola. In today's ninja world, the mainstream food is the most common dishes. Ichiraku ramen is probably one of the top delicacies nowadays. Do you know my identity? Tian Xinji's pupils shrank and turned into the vertical pupils of a snake, showing a dangerous look. Aren't Longdi Cave full of snakes? I'm not stupid. Qin Fang rolled his eyes. It's not like he entered here by mistake. As a psychic world, Longdi Cave only has psychic beasts except for the occasional contractor. This seems to be the case. Tian Xinji's dangerous expression disappeared, and she was very depressed. If this is the case, then why did the previous testers never think of this until their death? In any case, Qin Fang passed this test. Then, the surrounding splendid castles began to dissipate, and the food on the table began to turn into decaying bones and dust. Tian Xinji has a hobby of studying human food, but it does not mean that these ingredients are available in the psychic world. Otherwise, in the original work, Uzumaki Naruto would not have to eat bugs every day. Is this the so-called test? Qin Fang, who had long known that there was an illusion, expressed disdain when faced with this strange scene. You human being. Tian Xinji was so angry that her teeth were itching. Her teeth were really itchy. She wanted to bite this person's throat now. You lose. At this moment, the fog rose again, and a clear female voice came from the fog. I know. Hearing the female voice, Tian Shinji returned to her original appearance. After replying to the female voice in the fog, she looked at Qinfeng again. White immortals only allow us to eat those who fail the test. Most of the people who came here were lunatics who were thirsty for power. Except for one person, they all fell in the test. But don't be too happy too early. This is just an entry test. You don't think that you can practice immortality after passing the test, right? Tian Shinji raised her chin slightly and responded with Qinfeng's tone just now. Then, without waiting for Qinfeng's reply, Tian Shinji floated into the air, and her figure gradually merged into the mist and disappeared. Qinfeng did not stop him. He knew clearly, he has passed the first entrance test. Now that Tian Shinji has completed his mission, there is no need to stay. Phew, a cool breeze blows across Qinfeng's neck. Qinfeng narrowed his eyes and turned his head to take a look. He only saw a white figure walking through the fog and passing by in a flash. The speed was very fast, but Qinfeng clearly noticed the initial pause. The other party was waiting on purpose. He turned his head and saw. In other words, he was asked to catch up. Why bother? Qinfeng shook his head and walked in the direction where the white figure disappeared. The speed was neither fast nor slow. But in the eyes of Aikikijima Hime, who was hiding in the dark, this leisurely attitude was the greatest disrespect to her. Humans, why don't you die slowly and leisurely? Aikikishima Hime, who looked like a Lolita, clenched her fists and waited angrily in the cave. Under Aikikishima Hime's constant thoughts, Qinfeng finally came to the cave. The moment he stepped into the cave, the door opened. The boulder fell down, blocking his way out. The fog in the cave dissipated, and Qinfeng looked around. There was no other exit in the cave, and it was only a few dozen square meters in size. A little girl with a bun hairstyle was floating. Sit in the air and look at him. This time the test is on the ground. Child's play. Tangram. Decrypt. Qinfeng looked at the ground. What just fell with the boulders were some stones of various colors and shapes. At the same time, Qinfeng also discovered that there were some grooves on the wall that were similar to the shapes of these stones on the ground. If you don't fill up all these little holes of mine, you won't be able to get out no matter what, right? I'm very honest and told you directly. I don't like active chakra, and I won't eat you until you are exhausted, ha he he. Aikikijima Hime sat cross-legged in the air, her whole body slowly rotating like a clock hand, with a yandere look at the same time laughter. Your lines are terrible. Qinfeng listened to what the Millennium Lowly Snake said, bent down and picked up a stone, and looked at the boulder blocking the exit. What is your hobby? Puzzle or game? What you up to? Do you think you, a mere human being, can match the wisdom of the immortal of Longdi Cave? Aikikijima Hime took a step back warily. She had watched how Qinfeng dealt with Tianxinshinheim before, and she would not be exposed easily. She was already having a headache with this weird trialist. She would not participate honestly. I don't know where they got the courage to talk nonsense about their test questions. In this case, Qinfeng casually threw away the stone in his hand. Even though he had found many stones that could correspond to the grooves on the wall, he was not prepared to follow the other party's rules. Any integer greater than 2 can be written as the sum of 3 prime numbers. Can you help prove whether this theory is correct or wrong? Qinfeng leaned against the boulder, folded his hands on his chest, and said to Aikikijima Hime. No, you hurry up and start completing the trial. This place is not ventilated, and you will suffocate after a long time. Aikikishima Hime tilted her head and refused directly. She would not be fooled. She had never heard of integers and prime numbers. So that's it. Qinfeng touched his chin and said with a clear expression, in that case, then I will start to complete the trial. But before that, I think you're bored watching from the side all the time. I just have a gadget here for you to use to relieve your boredom. Qinfeng took out a scroll, and from it he took out a simple game console that he developed and had not yet been launched in Sunagakur village, and threw it over. Aikikijima Hime thought that Qinfeng had accepted his fate and caught it with satisfaction. He picked up the game console and shook it. What is this? A game console that relieves boredom. Just press the switch to start the game. Qinfeng answered Aikikishima Hime's doubts behind her back, but there was a look of success in her eyes. Since Goldbox conjecture could not attract the attention of this snake spirit, her hobby must not be knowledge and problems, but games. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.